Toyota pace car is in. Here they come to the flag. The AdventHealth 400 is underway.
Already a great push from the back of Kyle Larson.
Who will lead lap 1 from the outside? Bell at the line. Gregson way down on the track apron. Remember, no out of bounds here.
Yeah, and with all this grip early, that bottom line might be okay for the first 2 or 3 laps, Clint. But as we run, that middle lane and the top lane are going to be the preferred lanes. But for right now, with all the grip and the track being clean, the bottom lane might be okay, but you're going to have to get up at some point up the racetrack.
Chastain wanted the lead, almost got it. They almost got together. Chastain to lead lap 2.
Side draft is on in a big way. You're right, off of 4 they almost got into one another. I think Chastain's going to prevail here. Christopher Bell slipped up at least a little bit. Number 1 to the point.
Well, we talked about it before the race, and we know that Ross Chastain is very aggressive. He knows that they qualify good. He knows that they haven't been qualifying where they want to, and he's going to do everything he can to keep that car up in the lead.
Ty Gibbs outside Austin Cindric. That's back at 5th place, and they are joined by Kyle Busch 3 wide.
Yeah, and that's kind of the move that won Tyler Reddick the race, but the only difference is Kyle Busch didn't clear those guys to complete the pass like Tyler did last fall. You get a huge run when those cars are side by side with the draft.
And Gibbs had the run off the top of the racetrack, edges ahead into turn number 3, and they're back at it 3 wide again.
I think that's where you see that outside lane and that progressive bank you talk about prevailed on that outside for Ty Gibbs. Way he goes.
And as they're going right now, these guys are learning every lap. Everybody guessed at what the lap time was going to be with their simulation programs as to what to set the heights at, and they're seeing how much throttle the cars are using. They're hearing the drivers tell them and learn what their handling characteristics are. So there's a lot of things that are happening in these first few laps that are really important for the team to understand. But the hard thing for the teams to understand is there's not any rubber on the racetrack. So what happens when we put tires on next time, the rubber on the racetrack, and how our cars handle taking off will really give you the best example.
Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, they're fighting for 15th. And here's Michael McDowell with Cindric and Chris Buescher, 3 Fords racing for 7th. Third place, Gregson and Larson.
And you see Larson right up the racetrack to put himself right in front of Noah's car to make sure that he has no chance of continuing that run through the middle lane.
And the battle's on for the lead. Christopher Bell is looking to the inside again. That's that aero block situation we were talking about at the top of the show. Can't go where they are, have to go where they're not.
And this is the part we expect Ross to be super aggressive on. And that is where to position his car to play defense, because as they go, the cat and mouse game will begin. Christopher Bell will start saying, okay, I'm going to show you the bottom, and then try to maybe shoot the top and get position. But Ross is going to be looking backwards as much as he is forward. It's going to be super hard to make that pass on the bottom.
Who do all these drivers think is the hardest guy to pass? It's that one car right there. Jamie?
Well, yesterday in practice, Ross Chastain in the 1, they were just too tight, and they said it was hurting him on the long run, so they adjusted, freed him up, and right now on the radio, he says he's tight just like practice.
That's not a good sign when you're out in the lead like this.
Well, you just have to be patient with it at this point, because you just don't really know where the racetrack is going to go, Clint. I think right now it's not a good thing. Christopher Bell's car is obviously better than his, but Ross did a great job defending, and you just never know when it rubbers up whether that car is going to have the right balance up the racetrack.
Conditions could come to him, but that car out front with the full air on it, max downforce, is the best situation it's going to be in.
7th place. Buescher edges ahead of Cindric, who looks to the bottom. And up front, Larson to 2nd. behind Chastain, ahead of pole sitter Christopher Bell.
Yeah, and you saw Christopher Bell check up right there because he thought Larson was going to slide all the way up in front of him. Larson actually checked up, and then Christopher Bell had already broke his momentum and made it easy for Larson. But
Larson is coming.
He is coming. He is coming fast.
All right, 9, make it 10 laps complete here at Kansas. Ross Chastain had led 8 total laps here in his prior 10 starts combined. He's led more than that already today. We are 16 laps into the 267 we're going to run today in Kansas. And in 5 of the last 8 corners, and here he goes again, Kyle Larson's look to the bottom on Ross Chastain. Chastain will not give him the top of the racetrack. That's where Larson is best. He'll give him the bottom, where Larson has not been able to complete the pass, even though he has been able to get right alongside.
Yeah, the key right now for Ross Chastain is just to not make any mistakes. Get your car, keep it in the right lane. Don't make any huge mistakes, and you're going to keep that track position.
You asked earlier who's the toughest driver to pass. Here's what drivers said about that.
Hardest driver to pass, I'd say Ross Chastain. He's really good at mirror driving. I'd say Ross does a pretty good job.
I'm going to have to give this award to Ross Chastain lately.
Ross has proven to be really, really tactful when it comes to racing for position.
Ross Chastain. I think that the hardest driver to pass is the 1 car.
Even Ross Chastain agrees with him. I love that.
Well, it's not easy, man. when we talk about air blocking and everybody's like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Air blocking, I mean, it's still hard. You have to look backwards and you have to make a decision. You know, if you think that car's faster than you in the middle of the racetrack today on this racetrack, then you got to move down. If not, you got to move up.
William Byron started 36th. He is now up to 19th. Regan.
Well, Mike, he's moved up quick so far, and he told us right before the race that he didn't want to be too aggressive on calling what his race car was doing until he got to a little bit cleaner air. As you can see, he's gotten further up in the field, a little bit of that cleaner air now. Just now finally reported to crew chief Rudy Fugel that he's a little bit too tight, but not bad.
Not bad at all. He's the biggest mover. John Hunter Nemechek up 14 spots. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney up 9. 7th place here. Hamlin in front of Kyle Busch, not for long.
Thought better of it, didn't he? He was waiting for that spotter to tell him clear. Didn't hear it, had to pull back down. Left him room.
Well, making these passes is difficult. So if Denny's able to make this pass on Kyle Busch, I think that'll show you that his car is pretty versatile. And that's one thing that Denny talked about in the pre-race show today, is being able to practice in that middle lane, because he caught traffic yesterday in the top lane, and he made himself run the middle and keep his run going to understand where his car was. But he's going to complete the pass this time.
It's what we expect out of Denny Hamlin. Long run Denny Hamlin. He is always good on the long runs, protecting the tires, managing these runs.
1.5, 1 up.
Seen Larson backing up a little bit here. Bell's right back to his back bumper as Chastain's driving off from them. Maybe abused his tires too much in that wake.
Well, I think the beginning run of this race is just going to be difficult, because nobody really understands where their car is until the racetrack gets rubbered up. So you're going to be able to see where you're at the end of this run, because they've run so many laps. But the beginning of the run, hard to tell where your balance was with the green racetrack.
23 laps complete, all under green here in Kansas. Chastain, Larson, and Bell leading the field on Cinco de Mayo. Saturday night, baseball night in America on Fox. Paul Goldschmidt leads the Cards against the Brewers, or Ellie De La Cruz and the Reds take on the Giants. 7 Eastern on Fox. Check the game in your area. 28 laps complete in Kansas, all green so far. Oh, maybe a little contact there.
These guys have been at it for a few laps. The whole break, I was watching these two just battle side by side. They're getting agitated with one another. Can't get the pass made.
Reddick and Bowman. Chase Elliott made a run at them 2 laps ago down on the bottom and aborted when the track just didn't seem wide enough for 3 of them in turn 1.
Well, at this point in the run, it's tough to make a pass on the bottom because of the lap time and the way that the cars drop off handling. Jamie?
Well, you guys were talking about Kyle Larson running second right now, and Cliff Daniels, his crew chief, just finally checked in with him and said, what do you need? Are you tight? You loose? He said, honestly, I don't know what I need right now. If anything, I'm just a little bit free. So it's not terrible. Handling pretty decent right now.
Larry Mack?
Yeah, he just came back and said, I've used my right rear tire up. But I would say we're going to start seeing 4 tire stops here within about the next 5 to 6 laps.
Now, NASCAR and Goodyear conferred but decided not to have a competition caution. They thought track conditions would be fine. We've seen about a 1 to 1.5 second fall off over the first 30 laps of this race.
Well, we see 2 cars already on pit road with Ryan Blaney and Todd Gilliland, and that's going to probably put some of these guys in a box to start that pit cycle. Somebody has to start that cycle.
Make that Ryan Preece.
Who'd I say?
Ryan Blaney.
Oh my goodness.
Well, but those guys are doing it to try to save themselves a little bit of track time here. They were on the brink of going a lap down anyway. Let's try to short pit it and help this.
It must be the barbecue from last night.
Oh, wow.
Reddick is definitely not going to the front like we expected. Here's some more.
He's coming in.
Truex, Bowman, Reddick, Blaney, I believe, behind him.
Yes, and more.
Well, here we go, guys. Pit road. We've seen it every single week. These pit crews are right on the verge of disaster with these quick 8.5 second, 9-second pit stops. The drivers want to get everything that they can, so no mistakes.
Add Bubba Wallace to that group that's on pit road.
Comes your leaders.
Yep.
Look how much time he saved by being able to use that one car as a reference point. Drove in right to the back bumper of Chastain. That's a huge aid when you're pitting. Just trying to figure out where that reference point is where that line is down to the speed. Regan?
Well, Denny Hamlin, an 11 car, hits pit road right now. Report to the team is that his car is good. It is stable. He likes it. And the 17 of Chris Buescher, he's pretty good, just too tight when he went to the top side. Jamie?
Well, we talked about Kyle Larson and what he needs. Just a little bit free. Was driving it off the right rail. A little bit too much. The one as well. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires for both.
Only 12 cars did not stop.
They're door to door, those leaders off of pit road there. It's going to see who wins down here in 1 and 2. Chastain stayed way low on the inside and was able to get there.
So we'll see how it sorts out after things cycle out.
Yeah, and sometimes right on the apron down there, the front of your car will get really tight, and there's a ridge that runs right through the middle of that apron. And sometimes if you hook that ridge right through the middle of the apron or low, it makes it better.
Here's leader Christopher Bell coming on to pit road. And that will leave just 4 cars on track that have not made this pit stop.
Look how much time he saved and made up on pit road.
Jamie.
Christopher Bell started this race on pole. It was the first time this year he started on pole, saying he feels pretty good, doesn't know what he really needs, likes the balance. It's neutral right now. It'll be 4 tires for the 20.
So Derek Kraus, Austin Hill, Daniel Hemrick, and Burton.
Yeah, and you see Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is going to get by Ross Chastain right there. And this is when that loose car that used up the right rear tire the last run, they probably made some changes on it, and Kyle Larson has gone by Ross Chastain. And this is the time when you can make that middle and bottom lane work a little bit better than 20, 25 laps through the run where everything goes up the racetrack.
Corey Heim too fast exiting pit road in the number 43.
Here comes Chastain back to the bottom, guys. Is he going to be able to clear him? He's going to move up in front of him. He does. That was close, Kevin.
Well, both of these guys know that it is super important to keep control of this race, and that bottom of that racetrack right now is pretty good. We saw it on the start of the race, and we've seen it for the first couple laps firing off on these new tires. But you also have Riley Herbst in front of them that they're getting ready to lap who wants to stay on the lead lap. So you're going to have to navigate that traffic well.
Now keep in mind, that's for second place. Right now is when the leader crosses the line, and that is Derek Kraus, who started last in this race, but has not made the pit stop in that number 16 as he makes his second start of the year. Once he pits, this battle right here will be for the lead, but Kraus right now is in front of this race at lap 38.
Yeah, Kraus is hoping for a miracle with a caution flag to come out.
Hail Mary at best, right?
Yeah.
It's happened before.
Yeah,
saw it just last week.
We saw his teammate Daniel Hemrick capitalize on that a few weeks ago, but right now Ross Chastain has gone back by Kyle Larson, that's a power move in my opinion, Clint, because we expected that 5 car to drive off, and before we even knew it, he was driving back by the 5.
Yeah, very impressed with Ross Chastain, the 1 car. Here, as we say that, here comes Larson back to his inside.
So 29 cars on the lead lap, with Kraus pinning several 1 lap down, at least until he makes his stop.
Look at that.
There
Slide
we go
back
again.
up in front of him. Going to cross over. What a battle.
Oh, shuts him off.
And that's what you
Aggressive.
You have to be aggressive right there and taking that position. We saw it with Larson moving up the racetrack. You see Ross Chastain take that position right back from Kyle Larson.
All right, we've got to go to commercial, but we're going to take you Fox side by side so you can continue to watch this battle. 40 laps complete in Kansas. How about this battle for the lead with 44 laps complete? They have passed Derek Kraus, who is still on the racetrack, but now Chastain and Larson, this is for first place.
It has been a battle. Back and forth, slide up in front of him, cross back over, take position back.
Well, every time I think one or the other is better, then they catches back up to him. We saw Kyle Larson start to fall back, drove right back to him, thought he was going to go by. Ross fights back, keeps the lead, so this is a great battle.
But what you said right there, I love, Kevin. That's what you have to do. You have to back off. Don't stay right there in their wake. Get a run, time it, and pounce on them.
Now, for those of you looking for Major League Soccer, the Seattle Sounders versus the LA Galaxy, that match is starting now on FS2 or on the Fox Sports app. As we continue with NASCAR from Kansas here on FS1. Fifth place, Hamlin. and Bell, the pole sitter. Ryan Blaney closing in there.
Well, we see this battle for the lead has kind of calmed down right here, and you look in third place right there. You see Ty Gibbs. He and Chris Buescher pitted a couple laps before Christopher Bell leapfrogged him, and Christopher Bell went back to 6th, and Denny Hamlin just got around Christopher Bell, so he's in 5th.
Right. We talked about the tire fall off, almost a second and a half to the point in the race where they made pit stops. So Bell, by staying out those 2 extra laps, it cost him 2 spots. Here we go again.
Back door to door. Kyle's making that bottom work pretty good. He's going to be forced to run the bottom. See a slide job coming. He's going to slide up in front of him. One car's going to time it, fuel back up, beat him to the throttle, and back door to door the crossover.
Yeah, and you see him try to get that little bit of side draft. Kyle Larson chases him down the racetrack to try to slow him down, and now Ross is going to go right back up the racetrack in front of Kyle Larson, try to block his exit. He knew he was going to turn down the racetrack right there, but basically Larson drove up through the middle of 1 and 2 and carried that extra speed to almost do a slide job. Did a slide job.
No surprise, they're both on our Xfinity fastest lap board. 49 laps into the race. Well, last year we set a record for official lead changes at the start-finish line for a 1.5-mile track in a 400-mile race. I think this one's going to set a record for unofficial lead changes, those that happen anywhere on the racetrack, and just between Larson and Chastain.
Yeah, these guys are trying to break the record by themselves.
Denny Hamlin passing another one there. You see Buescher and Hamlin in that back. He's coming. He's going to join this party. Denny Hamlin is coming.
Well, especially the way that these guys are racing for the lead. Their lap times, they're giving up 2-3 tenths a lap and letting Denny Hamlin get right back to them.
The fans came, they got wet, they waited. They finally filed into the grandstand. We got racing, and they're being treated to one heck of a show by 2 of the best in the business.
Well, the guy right behind them that's made up the most ground is Ty Gibbs, and if those cars stay side by side, he's going to continue to make ground. But you see Ross kind of give the position there to say, okay, I need to get up the racetrack and not be so hard on these tires.
Well, listen to this. They're running 32.07, 32.15 for the 5 and the 1. Behind them, Gibbs and Hamlin, 31.50, 31.32 for Hamlin. They're coming. Catching them in a big way as they're up there running door to door.
This battle for 12th place, and finally Derek Kraus comes to pit road at the end of his fuel run, 52 laps, and he will fall off the lead lap as a result, but got to lead for 6 laps here. 52 complete. 2 Chevys in front of 2 Toyotas and a Ford. Larson, Chastain, Gibbs, Hamlin, and Buescher, the top 5. Kyle Larson is the leader. Ross Chastain second. There's the second place battle. Upper right with Chastain, Hamlin, and Gibbs. Ryan Blaney and William Byron back at 14th. Lower right and lower left. That's Martin Truex with Noah Gragson and Austin Cindric. Now, if you're looking for the Major League Soccer match, that is now on FS2 or the Fox Sports app, as we continue from Kansas Speedway on FS1.
Well, on FS1, we're going to see Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson go at it again. It's this 11 car has driven right to the front of the pack. We saw Kyle Larson take the lead back from Ross Chastain and has driven off to about a half second in front of, about 4/10 in front of Denny Hamlin. But they're going to go at it here for the rest of the day.
Did you not listen to me in pre-race? Did you not listen to me this week? Did you not listen to me in our pre-production meeting this week? Clear back on Tuesday, Kevin.
Well,
you knew it was going to be between the 5 and the 11, and here it is again. The battle is on.
Here they go for the lead. Larry.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin, I'm seeing exactly what I saw in this 11 car a year ago when he won this race. He commented about 20 to 25 laps in the race how good his car was on the long run. That's exactly what they've got today, long run speed in that 11 car.
One year ago, these two battled to the end. They finished 1-2 in 6 races so far in their careers. And the final lead change in 3 races was Denny Hamlin passing Kyle Larson. Denny won all of those 6.
Wow.
By the way, Richard Petty, David Pearson, 63 1-2 finishes. Pearson won 33 of those. The King won 30.
Kyle, as Denny catches Kyle Larson, Kevin, will he be able to keep him behind him? I think the 5 and the 1 wore their tires out running door to door.
Well, I just think Denny Hamlin's car is just so versatile right now. He can run that middle lane so well. And I think, like Larry said, I just don't think he has the fall off that the rest of these cars have. But Kyle Larson, you saw him move down a groove into the middle lane to try to break up Denny's momentum, put some air, take some air off the front of that nose, and Denny not be able to complete this pass right here. But Denny Hamlin is definitely the best car
move
right
all the
now.
way back down, taking that line away from him, just like you said.
Well, and that's what you want right there. You want to be able to get right up beside them, up on the exit of the corners, so that they, you know, can't.
I think that 5 and 1 hurt their tires. They were door to door, back and forth.
And Chastain right back in the picture. Hamlin has made up 4 seconds on Larson since the pit stop. Here's Jamie.
And Ross Chastain led 39 laps. Now he's settled back in 3rd. And Clint, I know you keep talking about the tires, and I think you're spot on. Ross Chastain at the start of this run said the rear grip started out less, the front was better, but it's all going away, sliding around. He's hanging tight, but it's certainly not getting any better as they run.
Well, that's a great pit report, Jamie, but do not ever say that Clint is right again, please. We have a tough time for the rest of the day in the booth, but that's what we talked about at the beginning of this race. The racetrack was green. It didn't, you know, it rained. They had to dry the racetrack. They picked all the rubber up off the racetrack. That first run was tough to get a read on your car because of that and the way that the tires were used at the beginning of the run with no rubber on the racetrack, and now these guys are getting a real read on their cars.
Almost got the pass down there. You see Kyle Larson move down on the entry at 3, take that line away from him. There's a lot of rubber down on the racetrack. As you see those cars go down the racetrack, you look at all the rubber all the way across the racetrack. Denny clear down to the bottom.
Now watch Larson. He's got the windup from the outside, and it looked for a minute like Hamlin might come up and try to block.
Yeah, and the tough part right here for Denny, if he doesn't complete this pass, it's very possible that he's going to lose second position to Ross Chastain. So that's the challenge of not completing the pass when you run these lower lanes.
How about Chastain following that other Chevy on that outside? Didn't go with Denny and push him by him. Don't think that's not real. There he goes again. That's about the 3rd, 4th lap in a row.
Well, in this lap, you see Denny Hamlin run the middle lane. He tried the very bottom the last lap. Side-by-side cars make that really difficult for Ross.
Wiggle.
You see Denny get, or Kyle get loose right there.
Yeah, that big wiggle out of Kyle. It shows you his tires are wearing out, much like last year. Kyle wears that right rear out, much like this last run. He already said Hard on the right rear. Here comes Denny Hamlin, which we know he's good at managing his tires. That's his strong suit, long runs, and away it goes to the lead, 11.
Denny Hamlin has now led 16 consecutive races, and that is his career longest streak of consecutive races led. 68 laps complete. Denny Hamlin's Toyota in front of the Chevrolets of Chastain and Larson. Seven laps to go in stage one. Denny Hamlin has worked his way to the lead. Now 0.4 of a second up on Ross Chastain. Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher having a good run here, and Christopher Bell.
You said it. I like that name, Buescher. As soon as you said it, I was thinking it. Come from 22nd place, Chris Buescher holding steady in the top 5. Good run.
Regan?
Well, Mike, Denny Hamlin smooth sailing up front right now. Did just update the team, though, as he got out front. Told them that he is building just a little bit free right now. Said it was just like what it built free in practice. So good detail from Denny. And interesting from Chris Gabehart earlier today. He told me he thought these cooler temperatures would bring more cars into the mix, helping out some other cars' handlings. Well, evidently that doesn't matter right now. Denny looking great.
Fourth place battle here.
Yeah, I've noticed on the scoring monitor that Christopher Bell has been running some good laps. It seems like his car really turns on at the end of these runs. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get that going a little bit better earlier in the run. Chris Buescher, you know, we talk so much about the Fords and everything that they've had going on, but this is the speed that we expect out of the 17 and the 6 car from RFK. See him get really loose right there, though. I think that's going to be the common trend with a lot of these cars.
Tyler Reddick has been up and against the wall several times today.
Slapped it pretty good there, Kevin.
Yeah, and we were talking during the commercial break. These cars haven't driven to the front like Denny Hamlin. We thought that Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, with their past history here, would drive to the front of the racetrack, and they just have not had very good speed to start this race. That one car drove right back up to the back bumper of that 11, Clint.
Yeah, for whatever reason, just like the other ones are falling back. Well, Denny Hamlin, he told us that his car was falling off, starting to get loose, and the one drove right back to him.
Well,
one
Denny
car
Hamlin
was tight, right, in his run.
Hamlin has not had a stage win on a 1.5-mile track since stage 1 here last May, and he went on to win.
Takes me back to what you were telling us, Kevin. You said nobody knows what this track condition's going to do. It's going to do one or the other. It's going to get looser or tighter. The 11 heard him say he's loose. The 5, he was getting loose. The 1 car in that first run was saying his car was tight.
So have we solved the enigma?
We have not solved the enigma. Oh my God! You got me.
You just created a whole nother segment for your podcast. Well, enigma was the word of the week, and we blew it 2 weeks in a row.
We have not solved the enigma.
I'm sorry.
I said it right in the beginning of the race. Play that.
You did. I'll give you credit. That was a
caught me off guard with that, Mike. Mike's getting a little bit crafty.
Cagey veteran over there. You got to be careful with him.
He's starting to get in the game here.
All right, 2 to go. You saw Elliott McDowell there battling for that last stage point. 10th place. 2 to go in stage 1. Last lap of stage 1. Thank you, Kevin.
Going to give him one more shot on the bottom. Not going to do it.
Well, the one thing that we have learned is Denny Hamlin is going to win the first stage here. The right rear tires are going to be an issue. We see all these cars sliding around.
Be some adjustments coming for sure.
Denny Hamlin picks up his 3rd stage win of the season. Saturday on Fox, the United Football League takes center stage. A.J. McCarron leads the St. Louis Battlehawks against the Birmingham Stallions at 4 Eastern, Saturday on Fox. We're at the end of stage 1 in Kansas, won by Denny Hamlin. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, Mike, Legacy Motor Club has a lot of new things going on this year, including their athletic and pit department. And John Hunter Nemechek's team in their first year together, they have been solid. Let's meet Team 42.
Brian Backus, front tire changer, former rodeo bronc rider, and proud father of Hazel May Lynn, and soon to be Marshall Wayne.
Chris Schumann, rear tire changer, husband, father, ex-amateur skateboarder.
Hollywood Holding, tire carrier from the 757, Norfolk, Virginia. I attended Hogwarts, Slytherin House, 2-time Quidditch Cup champion.
Matt Schlitter, Jackman, 2023 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, former swimmer at University of Louisville. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Lisa, and my son, Mason.
Rick Rozier, Bueller, hometown Milford, Connecticut, alum of Winston-Salem State University. 2023 Indy Road Course winner, and most importantly, father to Bryson and Alex. Daddy loves you.
Hey, Rozier went to Winston-Salem State, and I understand we may race at their football stadium soon, which also happens to be Bowman Gray Speedway. Ben Bayshore is the crew chief for John Hunter, and Ryan Blanchard is the spotter. And there's the lowdown on Ben Bayshore.
Buddy, you said exactly what I was thinking. I want that Fueler on my side. If we're getting in a fight, did you see the arms on that guy?
Man, he had some pretty big biceps there.
Picking heavy stuff up.
Pit road will be open this time. 33 cars on the lead lap. Ryan Preece is the first of the 6 cars, 1 lap down. He'll get the free pass.
Well, here we go again, Clint. We no mistakes, no mistakes, no mistakes.
But please give me a fast stop.
Yes.
Get me out ahead of them.
Here they come. Let's go to pit road. Regan.
Denny Hamlin went into more detail on his loose condition. It was in particular from the late exit and exit of turn 4. Progressively got looser as he would go through the corner. In the 17 car of Chris Buescher in 5th place right now. Lost rear grip in and off of the corners as they ran. Tight and dirty air though, Jamie.
Kyle Larson said, I don't know how much damage I did at the handling, just battling that hard. They said, hey, we've been conservative on air pressure. Let's jack it up a little bit. Air pressure adjustment 4 tires. The one of Ross Chastain kind of on both sides of it, but overall needs grip and needed those fresh tires.
There it is. Levin got blocked in. You see him way back there. Lots of positions lost. Couldn't get out of the pit stop, guys.
Well, right there, you see why qualifying is so important. P1, Christopher Bell.
Look at that one.
Pit stall number 1.
Yep.
Denny Hamlin down 7.
Well, he had a good stop. Let's dial up. Let's see if he learned anything about the track. Hey, Ross Chastain, it's Boy and the Boys up in the booth. You got us?
Hey, Clint. Thought you lost your radio earlier.
Well, I knew you'd be in a better mood now. The boys got you out first, but that's because of that good pit stop that you had there and the stall that you had. All right, before the race, you told Kevin you didn't know what to expect about this track. Now what's it told you?
Honestly, I was pretty confused at the end of that run. We were racing so hard. It was I had checked in with Bill a couple times on the balance, but I kind of got lost on how it migrated. So I told him a lot of back and forth on balance, but that was some fun racing.
10-4 on the confused. It seems to be working. Stay the course.
John Hunter Nemechek too fast exiting pit road on that stop. There's how close it was for the race off pit road. Denny Hamlin, stage 1 winner. Welcome back to the AdventHealth 400 from Kansas on FS1. Now, Denny Hamlin won the stage. He was the first car into pit road, but his pit stall is right behind Austin Hills, who was the last car on the lead lap to come to pit road.
Yeah, and you see the angle on this car just a little bit different than the outside line right there. So he's pointed a little to the left and a little bit deep in his box, and just these cars are, you have a tough time turning them sharp enough to get out of the pit box, so it cost him a bunch of spots.
So here's their discussion afterwards. You'll hear Chris Gabehart mostly.
Hey, ask Brett if running dead last on the lead lap is worse hitting dead last on the lead lap and leaving dead last on the lead lap in front of the leader. That's partially on me for going long. Yeah, I got it. We always got to be better, but it'd be nice to have a little courtesy.
Both of those conversations are correct. I think Austin Hill, probably Brett Griffin, should have told him. He was last, right? There wasn't a car in front of him. He could have pitted a little bit deeper, gave that leader some room, but hey, Denny could have backed his up a little bit as well. A little bit of give and take. Communication is key in a situation like that.
There's your Toyota Camry XSE that leads the field here at Kansas, getting ready to restart with Christopher Bell on the outside of Ross Chastain. Now, several drivers, several teams are complaining about cording the right front tire.
Yeah, and that's typically the case, and that's probably why we see these cars sliding around, is those right side tires are wore out. But
I have to say this real quick before we go green. It just feels good. You know, Brett Griffin is so critical of everybody on his old podcast show. It feels good to be critical of him. I'm glad his name come up, and let's just put the blame on him, even if it wasn't there. Here we go, green.
He's the spotter for Austin Hill. We are back to green for stage 2.
It was my spotter for many years. Looking at the inside, big block out of Chastain.
Ty Gibbs looking way up top as Bell and Chastain battle for the lead.
Well, we just talked about the end of that run in Christopher Bell's car and how good it was, and if they could make it any better at the beginning of this run. And you see him right here. Oh man, both of them have to check up.
And look who it's
got.
Whoa, 4 wide. Here we go.
5 wide. Whoa.
Yeah, what happens when those cars get side by side like that? It's almost like they're locked together, and the next thing you know, you're both just going up the racetrack and you're out of the throttle with the wheels turned. So
next thing you know, you're 6th and 7th.
Yeah.
Huge move. Buscher, boy, that was tight. That was threading the needle there, wasn't it?
Well, that's what we're talking about. The Great Plains. The width of Kansas Speedway and the ability to run 5 wide.
Yeah, you saw Martin Truex want to come up the racetrack and clear, and looked like he might have been tight as well. So easy to get the front end taken off up the racetrack off of turn 4. Well, those are the types of things that mix up the front of these fields, and you have the 2 leading cars now 6th or 5th and 8th on the racetrack, and now those guys have a lot of work to do with Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain, and Kyle Larson just kind of drove through there. Chris Buescher got themselves better track position, so really changed the complexion of the race at the front of the field.
But when better to get all you can get than right off a restart? Let's have a look at our Pod's big move. And it's going to be this 5 wide battle past the line.
You saw Ross Chastain go up the racetrack, and those cars get almost locked together, and now they're 5 wide going down the front straightaway. That's cool.
Want to see it again? I do.
It tells you how big it was. Ty Gibbs thought they were going to wreck. Did you hear how big he lifted up out of the gas?
Yeah,
trying to figure out if they were going to shoot up and be in the wall and right in his lap.
He had a head of steam that was so big that he had to let all the way out of the gas.
And he came out of it pretty well. He is 3rd now behind Larson and Buescher, about a second back, with Truex and Busch and Bell in his wake.
I am so impressed with Buescher. Obviously, that was a big move out of him, but coming all the way from 22nd place with that Ford Mustang, that's a good run for them so far. Yes, sir.
Well, these Fords have struggled. We expected the RFK cars to have better speed, and this is really the first time they've shown the speed that they should have had.
All right, before pit stops, here's Kyle Larson checked in.
Top
lane, like against the wall, is just so slick. I'm not confident against the wall. I don't know if anybody's making any speed, you know, packing air against it like normal, but I can't.
Is there any moisture up there, do you think?
It's a tough thing. I mean, it's darker up there, but it doesn't look like a wet darkness.
Well, that's pretty typical here, Mike, and especially off the exit of turn 2. You'll get that blackness right up against the racetrack, and the front tires will just not want to turn up there. Exactly what Kyle Larson is talking about, and very slick. So you just slide both ends of the car through there.
So far, the only car that we've noticed up and into the wall lightly was Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, and you can see on the exit of this corner right here, you'll see the racetrack and see how it's dark up there at the top of that racetrack. You have to almost come back down the racetrack in the late center part of the corner to straighten that exit out.
Maybe a good adjustment out of Kyle Busch here in this 8 car, moving up through the field. Good run so far, top 5. Car's getting better. Pole last week. This team is definitely inching in on success where they want to be, where that driver's capable of being.
Regan?
Well, Mike, you guys talking about the 8 car Kyle Busch, the adjustment that they made. He was extremely tight before the caution came out for the stage break there. They took a pretty big swing at it. They wanted to try and get ahead of it right now to free that car up. So far, working good for him.
Kyle Busch about 2.8 seconds off the lead, held by Kyle Larson. 1.5 seconds up on Chris Buescher, then Ty Gibbs. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, 1, 2, 3. Race Hub airs weeknights on FS1. Lots of interviews from the racetrack, more than we can get on the air during our telecast, and lots of insight and opinions from the experts. And this week's guests include Kevin Harvick, Haley Deegan, and John Hunter Nemechek. 6 p.m. Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. 103 laps complete. Kyle Larson out front, but watch this. You're riding with Kyle Busch, and he is in a swarm right here.
Oh, man, he never even thought about checking up out of the gas.
He may have thought about it. He didn't, though. Left his foot to the floor, and boy, did it pay dividends. All the way to second place. Boom. Thank you, boys.
Yeah, that was Chris Buescher as we were going through the middle of those cars.
That was awesome. What a move. What an opportunity, right?
Yeah, and you just have to take those opportunities like that to be able to get the track position that you need.
Well, look how bad it hurt Chastain, though. You saw him right there battling for Reddick. That's all the way back for the 10th position.
Denny Hamlin. Hamlin fell back on the pit stop, came in first, got kind of blocked in, and now he is fighting his way back. Hamlin up to 7th spot with that pass of Noah Gragson.
Sun's out, Kevin. This track's getting slicker. It's putting more rubber down. Who does that play in favor?
Well, I like Denny Hamlin, but you know, I think when Kyle Larson has this track position like he has, he doesn't have to be as hard on that right rear tire. We saw the radio chatter between he and Cliff about being able to have some room to make some adjustments on their cars. So
look at that rubber
this
down.
Racetrack is going to continue to change. The rubber is going to continue to go down on the racetrack. We saw all these cars start to slide around at the end of that last run. So with the sun out, you know, that adds another element to this whole equation.
And the track temperature of the asphalt up 8 or 9 degrees since the start of this race, and now in full sunshine except for the front straightaway. Regan.
Well, Mike, William Byron runner in 14th right now, just updated what his car is doing. Take a listen to what he told crew chief Rudy Fugle and what Rudy told him back.
I'm not really tight on the restart, but I'm tight in my pit. Okay, support. Sun's out for the first time.
Been an interesting day.
And here's Jamie. We had some teams with concerns about tire wear.
Well, we did, Mike, and Goodyear brought a different right side tire. So Cliff Daniels, crew chief for Kyle Larson, told me they have a little concern, some questions. So I checked out the tires. Here it is, the right front, some cording after that last run. I asked Jesse Saunders, his car chief, I said, do you have any concern? He said, well, where we're running, how hard we're pushing, there's Jesse right there. He said, we're not concerned. This is what we kind of expected this early in the race. And right now, Kyle's saying he needs to be a little freer, a little bit too tight up there as he leads the way.
Yeah, and I'd say that was probably as long of a run that you'll see today. So I would say that wear will definitely get better as the rubber continues to go down on the racetrack. But they're definitely wearing the tires out for sure.
Buescher in second, 3 seconds off of Kyle Larson right now. And Larson's lap time's trending about 1/10 of a second quicker as he tries to build on that lead. 110 complete. We're at 30 laps into the 85 lap stage 2. A lot of families having fun at Kansas Speedway. Big car show out in the parking lot today. The Camaro Club of Kansas City came out in force. So did the British Car Club of Kansas City, at least until it rained. I don't know if those NEMGs and Triumphs would start after that. But Chris Buescher has knocked 9/10 of a second out of Kyle Larson's lead while we were in break. It's down to 2.1.
It's a fantastic run for Chris Buescher. Just continues to impress. Needed a good run. This is a confidence booster for him and that team. Look at them. They're ready. They're on the ready. Green flags are coming. I see. Look up. Blaney's on pit road. Won't be long, guys. They're coming.
Green flag stops begin. Derek Kraus, Ryan Preece, Todd Gilliland have been on pit road.
This is going to start the cycle. Start to see the leaders peel off. Don't want to give up that track position. No mistakes. Green flag stop.
Chase Briscoe, Harrison Burton are in. Cars running a lap down. A couple of lead lap cars. And now it begins in earnest. We got about 8 of them all on pit road at once. Byron McDowell in, waiting on the leaders.
Okay, here comes your second, third place car. Buescher, Gibbs. Man, Gibbs made up a ton of ground on Buescher coming on to pit road. Look at him door to door on the inside with him.
Yeah,
snuck around that inside, Kevin.
Actually hurt them both. Regan?
Well, the 17 of Chris Buescher having a very, very good day. Still too tight, though. They have not gotten his car freed up like he'd like yet. Jamie?
Ty Gibbs doing a great job running top 5 all race so far. Just a touch free, just like the last run. Small air pressure adjustment and 4 tires. Regan.
Nemechek overshot his pit, had to back up, and the leader's in. Regan.
Well, Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, you see him there leaving pit road. He's happier with the car. They put the back of the race car in the track better for him. Not as loose this run, Jamie.
Kyle Larson comes in from the lead, says he's pretty good here. Could be a touch freer, so another air pressure adjustment for the second time today. Regan.
Kyle Busch's race car is turning much better this run. He likes it, told the team it's better through the middle, but it is not loose in yet.
2311 has stayed out. Reddick and Wallace up.
Trouble. Kyle Larson left front.
Oh, no. That'll cost him the lead, won't it?
Yeah, you saw the front tire changer going back and forth on that left front lug nut.
So Reddick, Wallace, and Daniel Hemrick are the cars that have not pitted in this cycle among those on the lead lap.
Well, just like we saw in the last pit stop cycle under caution.
You see this. Look at here, guys.
Denny Hamlin. Yeah, Denny Hamlin went to the back of the field by getting blocked into pits. This time it's Kyle Larson going to get shuffled to 5th, 6th, 7th position there.
Yep, 17 is your leader, or is going to be your leader without a caution.
Now Reddick is the race leader. About 10 laps ago, he said he ran over something on the track, was worried about a tire going down. We said, come on in if you need to. He stayed out, and he's still out there.
Here, Tyler Reddick working that throttle. A lot of partial throttle through the center of this corner just to get that mid-corner speed up to where it needs to be as much as you can with the grip level that you have. So giving up a lot of time right now.
Yeah, he's about 1.3 seconds a lap slower than the cars that are on fresh tires right now.
2 to the 5. Just keep it top here.
Jamie.
Well, I'm watching crew chief Cliff Daniels for Kyle Larson, watching the pit stop back. His playing it back for him. Cliff is actually part of the pit stops. He comes off the box and catches the tires. So you see it right there, watching to see what happens, and then he will radio Kyle and give him a heads up.
Daniel Hemrick makes his stop, so that will leave just the 2311 cars. Reddick and Wallace out on track. And here's Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, you're just giving up so much time on the racetrack that, you know, you got to minimize the damage when you're giving up a 1.5 seconds a lap.
So Larry, what's the goal here for the 45?
Yeah, the only thing I can figure out Billy Scott's doing is we went back racing with 77 to go in this stage. So maybe he's just going to make sure he splits it right in half which would be 38 laps a run, which would be going to 126, which is about 2 laps from now, Mike.
It's going to cost them a lot of time, though.
Look at the difference in the speed last time by.
That's kind of a Hail Mary move a little bit there, Kevin, and I don't know, pretty early for that. Here he comes.
Yep, Corey Heim making his stop. He was 1 lap down. And here is the race leader.
Well, typically, you know, you take some chances in doing things like that, but typically it's a calculation that the engineers figure out over the course of the run. So we'll see how it works out. But here's your new leader coming by this time as he's going to go by Tyler Reddick. Chris Buescher has had a great day so far, taking the lead after Kyle Larson's mistake.
Well, trouble on pit road for sure. Couldn't get that left front tire on. Cost him the lead, that 5 car.
.35 laps to go in stage 2 at Kansas in the AdventHealth 400. Chris Buescher leading Kyle Busch by 1 1/4 seconds. Busch quicker that lap by about 1/4 second.
Yeah, and his car is, like Clint said, come to life this run. They've done a good job in making adjustments on that car, and that's really something that Kyle Busch is very good at, and giving the information to his team, and they've done a great job in making the correct decisions to get what he needs out of that car.
So Chris Buescher had the fastest stop, 9.6 seconds, vaulting him from second to first. Kyle Larson lost 6 seconds to Buescher with having to retighten that lug nut.
Yeah.
And there's the pit road performance. You see the middle column, 9.6 for Buescher's crew, 15.4 for Larson's.
Well, right now, Kyle Larson's really showing the speed in his car. He just ran a 31.17. Leader was a 31.44. So he is definitely
ripping.
Lit the fuse in that 5 car.
One
Regan?
driver having a strong day is Gregson Regan.
Mike, it's been a fantastic day for Noah Gragson yet again this week, just now moving up into the 8th spot past Christopher Bell. Talking to the team earlier today, they said it is amazing how his understanding of what he wants the car to do has really come full circle this year. He's back driving like he did and talking about his race cars like he did in the Xfinity years when he was so dominant at junior motorsports. They said his confidence and his personality throughout the shop right now is infectious. The guys love it when he comes around, and you can tell by the performance on the racetrack.
You know what I heard most in that interview in pre-race when you interviewed Gregson and Drew Blickensderfer? They're happy.
Yeah,
having fun.
They're having fun, and that's really hard to do with everything that goes into the weekly grind of everything that's going on. But when you are having fun and you're performing well, it sure does make things a lot easier.
There's really only one way to have fun.
Perform well.
You better be running well.
Well, there is no further threat of rain, but we are halfway. We have an official race here in Kansas today with 31 to go in stage 2. Just passing the halfway point of 267 laps.
You see Kyle Larson go up the racetrack, a nice straight entry in the entry to the corner, up the racetrack in the middle of the corner, straighten that exit back out, just give himself a little bit of air on that left front corner. You see him all the way below the seam there.
Back at 14th, Michael McDowell, who had a top 10 qualifying run. Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, and Clint, as you look at Tyler Reddick, I mean, that's about where he was running before, 13th, 14th, 15th.
Didn't cost him as much as I thought.
Yeah, me neither. But, the one thing that will allow him to do, having a little bit fresher tire than the other guys, maybe make it a little bit easier on him in traffic as we get deep into this run. Make the passes a little bit easier.
And the sun breaks through again out on the back stretch. Not a big factor just yet, but keep an eye on that.
Definitely not the conditions that these guys thought they were going to be racing in. Let's see, what time is it? It's yeah, I mean, they really thought this race would be over by now, and here we are, almost to the end, 28 laps from the end of stage 2. So
right along with AdventHealth, boy, after barbecue, we had Mexican today for Cinco de Mayo. I might be heading to AdventHealth. It's been a rough day. Rain, sitting around bored, nothing to do, waiting for this race. It's hard on a man.
Well, we see Kyle Larson. I didn't have any reaction to that one.
No. You were there.
I was looking for a nap about an hour ago, but that was about it. Kyle Larson.
Looking to the inside for second place. It's heating up. Not going to keep this car behind much.
Well, you say that, Clint, as we've got to the end of these runs, we've seen Kyle's car. He's had to work his car pretty hard this run because they had to make their way back through traffic. So it's going to be interesting to see how long Kyle can hang on to that car with the handling.
Larry, take me back to the problem they had with that left front wheel. Does that concern you at all for this next stop and stops ahead for the 5 car? Or is that just kind of a fundamental thing, a hiccup with that guy?
Clint, anytime you have a lug nut issue, it concerns you until you have the next pit stop to make sure that lug comes off and goes back on. Just watching that battle right there with Kyle Busch in that 8 car, he said he is struggling in 1 and 2, and he's forever getting back to the throttle right now on the exit of 2.
Woo, so close with your leader. Buescher and Briscoe, as he was lapping Briscoe, tight quarters off of 2. These guys are going to be racing them hard, trying to stay on these lead laps, trying to stay from going 2 laps down.
So Chase Briscoe was a lead lap car. He's now 1 lap down in 31st. The last car on the lead lap is Daniel Suarez in 30th. Busch is eating into Buescher's lead. He took away, what, 0.3 of a second that last lap.
That Larson behind him is pushing him hard. These guys are coming. And they're giving him fit, the leader, Buescher, that is. As I just said, as he catches those lap cars, they're racing for position hard, trying to stay on that lead lap. Again, if you're 1 lap down, you go 2 laps down, that's hard to come back from.
Well,
you're going to need a favor from
That's
there.
also an opportunity too, right? When you get these cars moving around the racetrack, you have to figure out how to get around these lap cars. And when the 8 car has to start making decisions of Kyle Busch, it's going to be an opportunity for Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson to get by.
7 leaders today so far, 15 lead changes. Chris Buescher's Ford out front of Kyle Busch's Chevrolet by 1.1 seconds. .147 laps complete in the AdventHealth 400. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson right there.
Yeah, and that 14 car is actually already a lap down, and Kyle Larson trying to slide up in front of him, and he definitely didn't cut him any slack. Stayed right in the lane, and Kyle Larson lifted.
I don't know that was the best move for the 14. I mean, obviously the leader's Buescher. You're not even racing the 5 car there. Cost him a position, put him in a pretty vulnerable spot there off of 2. Look how much they've caught Buescher, though. You saw him right there on the horizon.
Well, we always talk about lap cars and how much more difficult it is for the leader than it is for the second place car. But you know, in this particular race, the fast line is up around the wall, so you got to go around those lap cars if they're running that line. But we see Kyle Larson back on the inside of Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch is like, I'm not even going to fight this one. Well, here we go, Mike. Now we're going to see how good Kyle Larson's car is compared to Chris Buescher's, and if they've made it better at the end of this run. This is kind of the part of the run that he kind of struggled with earlier.
Let me show you why they caught Buescher. Buescher tried to shoot the bottom much like Larson did. You know these lappers are tough. Shot up, wasn't clear of Suarez. Suarez got in trouble on the outside, checked up, which made him check up even more. That was a huge move. Cost a lot of time.
Same situation that we saw with Ross Chastain earlier. When those cars get close like that, it pushes that outside car up, and it almost just drags them up the racetrack, and it locks them together when they get to a certain point.
So here's Chastain back at 10th place with Chase Elliott. Now Suarez was the last car on the lead lap. He was trying to fight to stay there.
You expect that out of a car battling for the lead lap.
9th place side by side.
And that's for the leader, right? Going back to Briscoe and the 5 car, that wasn't for any kind of position there. Probably should have let that one go.
Does it have anything to do with the fact that Briscoe was in a Ford and those 2 cars that he was battling were Chevrolet?
I think it has to do with he's frustrated where he's running.
Well, hold on. And I think he's also the lucky dog at that point. So maybe a little bit there, but you never know.
Yep. So right now, Suarez in the free pass position and Preece the last car on the lead lap. As we have a look at William Byron in 13th ahead of Brad Keselowski and 4th place side by side.
Well, here's another guy that had trouble on pit road. Denny Hamlin, we saw him get stuck in his pit box, lose a bunch of positions, having to work his way back through the field. But this is when that car started to shine at the beginning of the race, late in these runs. We've seen the speed out of Denny Hamlin, and here he is taking over 4th place.
And Tyler Reddick, who pitted 7 laps later than the leader. How's that working out for him, Larry?
Mike, I think it's going to be a net gain because right now he's 11th running 31.88. Most of the cars in front of him are running in the 32 teens, 20s, and 30s. I think with 11 laps to go, he's probably going to get to at least to 8th. So this will be a net gain, pitting 7 laps later than a lot of the other leaders.
Yeah, I agree, Larry. When he pitted, he was 17 seconds back of those cars he was racing with. And now here he is. He's made up half of that time.
Yeah, and we were questioning that strategy because he was giving up so much lap time compared to the leaders. But what it has done is, like we talked earlier, it's allowed him to be more versatile through traffic right here. He kind of came out maybe 1 spot, maybe 2 spots worse than he was running before he pitted out and stayed out a little bit longer. But now his car having fresher tires has allowed him to be more versatile through the traffic.
Mowing him down for sure. There's another one passing Chastain. You can see Gregson right in front of him. It's going to get him as well. Here he comes.
So Reddick in 9th, Chastain right with him. 33. Austin Hill is a lap car. 8th, 9th, and 10th under a blanket here.
Yeah, and you see just the complexion of that it creates when you catch that lap car in the wrong spot like that, and those cars are side by side. You just got to make some split-second decisions as to what you think is right and wrong as to where to put your car.
I like what you said, though, Mike. I think further on in this race, as it progresses, we're going to see teams looking over their shoulder and looking at what Reddick did there later and splitting that stage up more in half, maybe putting that in play.
And that goes right back to the engineers and the crew chief figuring that time, right? So what's the lap time? What's the best strategy right here? Because it all comes down to time, as you see Ross Chastain going back by the 45 as he had to check up and as he got tight.
Chastain coming right back there as we look at 3rd place. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin.
Slowly but surely, inching away on it. 8 to go. Jamie, what do you got?
Ross Chastain hasn't made up a whole lot of ground since the last pit stop, but he did say, I have better turn. It's not nearly as free as it was last run. Remember, he started out extremely tight. They adjusted on it, went too free, and now he's pretty happy with it as we run.
Chastain restarted as the leader, is now 9th. Christopher Bell, who restarted 12th right now, restarted 2nd. And 7 to go in the stage. Everybody fighting for stage points.
Yeah, and that's what you saw on that in-car camera with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. He doesn't want to give up that point.
Derek Kraus just ahead of our race leader. Talked about that bucking horse on the hood of Kraus's car. That I learned on social media last night is Steamboat, a very famous bucking horse and pretty much the state emblem of Wyoming.
For sure. You roll into Wyoming, you're going to see that logo, that image all over the place. Cool state. Not near as cool as Kansas, though. I mean, we're in Kansas.
We are in Kansas.
Yeah.
Dorothy, did you know that Toto was not the original choice of name for that dog in The Wizard of Oz? Or was he supposed to be a terrier?
Huh.
I learned this from our catering guys.
Is his name supposed to be Clint?
No, Otto. And he was supposed to be a dachshund. But World War II was brewing, and sentiment there, worries about Germany. They made him a Terrier and called him Toto. And the rest is history.
Learn something every week, Clint.
Useless information. All right, 5 to go. Christopher Bell trying to fight back here. He was second at the restart, currently in 12th, battling Chase Elliott.
Here we go, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah,
again
got it.
on the inside of Kyle Busch there, and he makes it happen this time.
This has been a fit over here. Chastain, boy, they all say he's hard to pass. Reddick is living it right now, boy.
Yeah, Reddick was already by him one time and had to check up right there, and Ross got back by, and now it seems like Tyler Reddick just can't get back around Ross. And that's what we talk about, you know, the tire advantage and when does it shut off. It obviously seems like it's become much more difficult these last couple laps for Reddick to make up the ground than it was even 5, 6, 7 laps ago. So these tires, they get to a point, they're done, the car starts to slide around, right rear starts to slide, right front, whatever end you're struggling with, they just finally stop doing what they're supposed to do. This guy right here, he hasn't stopped doing what he's supposed to do. Chris Buescher took control of this race, made a gutsy move on the restart when Ross Chastain and Christopher Bell got tangled up there.
Denny Hamlin is flying. That third place car, you're going to see him back, still digging out of this hole, but your leader Buescher 32.38, Larson 32.51 behind him, Denny Hamlin 32.08, flying out there.
Well, the hard part for these teams is, you know, we had the conditions, the race starting later, and now it's going to start getting dark. It's going to start getting darker, cooler. You can see the lights starting to show up on the screen. So Chris Buescher has done a great job in this stage. Last lap, coming down the back straightaway.
Best news for Hamlin is he will not have to worry about Austin Hill in the pit stall in front of him. Hill is now 1 lap down. Hey, for the last stage point, here comes Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell trying to get into that battle as Chris Buescher crosses the line with the stage win. Let's see who gets the last stage point right here. Be one of these two.
It's going to be a drag race. I think it goes to Gregson.
Chris Buescher gets his first stage win of 2024, becoming the 13th driver to win a stage this season.
Denny Hamlin had a pretty masterful performance. Defensive driving, pit crew executed, driver executed. What'd you think?
Well, it sounds like he did his job, right?
Well, that's what he's paid to do, you know.
Yeah, that's what he's paid to do. But when you go and you look at the race and you look at the scenario, the pit crew gave him the lead again.
Yes.
They did their job on pit road. They put him in a position to win. Okay, and then they come back in for the last time, and Kyle Larson beats him off pit road. And what did he do? He passed him.
Oh my God! Don't use that
Careful,
word.
careful.
Yeah, easy, guys.
Denny Hamlin passed Kyle Larson. It's an amazing thing.
I love that.
He did pass Kyle Larson for the lead. Kyle Larson was in front. Denny Hamlin beat him on a restart and passed him. It's amazing.
Funny how that works.
Oh gosh, let me wipe the sarcasm off just a little bit.
Oh, Mike, you know I'm a little bit sarcastic, so we have a lot of fun on the podcast. It gives us a place to cover everything that you don't have enough time to really get in depth with during the races. So it's fun to be able to have that platform.
So catch it Tuesdays and Thursdays. 2 new episodes every week. Happy Hour presented by NASCAR on Fox. And there they are, right together again.
Well, you can't keep them apart. Nope. I mean, the rivalry is there for good reason. Those cars are the best cars, obviously. I'm so intrigued by what we see out of Buescher, your leader winning that stage. That's a huge stage win. First stage win of the season for the 17 car. Huge shot in the arm. They're going to have to go through him, but these 2 cars, they're fixing mistakes. They both had mistakes on pit road is the reason they're there. But I think by the time this race is over, it's still going to be those same 2 guys battling for the
And I don't think it's the last time that you're going to talk about pit road mistakes. It's like we've covered from the beginning of this race today. I mean, these guys on pit road are right on the ragged edge of a disaster every time they come down pit road with these quick pit stops, and could be something as little as getting into your stall just a little bit crooked or a little deep.
I'm a little bit concerned of this car right here. The reason why, what happened there? He backed that lug nut off and then you put it back on. Something was not meshed up and right on that left front. I have to pay attention and make sure that problem's not reoccurring.
Well, the pleasant surprise right now is Chris Buescher, who is our Stage 2 winner. He has been the fastest Ford pretty much all day. And Buescher will lead them onto pit road ahead of Larson, Hamlin, Busch, and Truex. Regan.
Well, Denny Hamlin reminded as they come down pit road to make sure he stops right on their sign. He will have that opening out as he gets ready to leave. Got looser earlier this run than any other run of the race, so they'll make an adjustment for that. In the 17 of Chris Buescher, he built a little bit too free after the green flag stops. They are already thinking ahead if they have another green flag stop. Jamie?
Adjustments all day long on pit road to keep up with the changing track. The 54, Ty Gibbs, tight center off. They're going to make another air pressure adjustment to free him up a bit. The 5, we're keeping an eye on him. Remember, the last stop was not good. This stop was good. 4 tires, air pressure.
Look at this, guys. The 5 beat him out, but the 11 had trouble again. Ryan Preece, the 41, was coming in, blocked him, couldn't find his stall, stalled the 11 out, and gets held up again, guys.
And my goodness.
All right, so Hamlin coming out. Now, Preece's stall is further down. He's trying not to be in the way, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, and my eyes are not that great, but it looks like there's a tear-off stuck on the top of Chris Buescher's car as well. We'll look at that during the commercial.
Chris Buescher, Stage 2 winner for Ford.
Eventful day out at Kansas Speedway, Shannon and Jamie. A lot of us have been watching the Larson and Hamlin battle, but you've been tracking the progress of another driver. Who is it?
Yeah, William Byron. He had to start in the back, and we felt like he maybe had one of the best cars in practice. And you look, Shannon, starts back in 36, drives up to about 14th early on, and it levels out there a little bit of a dip through some of the pit cycles. But I was watching his times at the end of that run. I think if he can get some track position, he has a car that can compete with those two. And I would just say the first 80 laps of this race, actually up to this point, it's been about as good of racing as you're going to see.
Eventful on the racetrack, eventful on pit road as well, Mike, as we send it back to you for the start of stage 3.
Thanks, Shannon. Well, double trouble for Chris Buescher. There is that windshield tear-off, and look here where the tire changer and tire carrier are over the wall too soon. That will send Buescher to the tail end of the line.
Well,
also Daniel Hemrick too fast exiting pit road.
Well, we hate to talk about this. You see that tear-off get stuck on the top of the car. They might as well come back in and hope that blows off or just come fix it. But these guys are such on the ragged edge. Let's listen to some audio.
They're calling a penalty on us here for over the wall too soon. We're looking at the video just to see if we can argue something here. Just argue.
Now, what happened on the windshield tear-off, the fellow that went over the wall to grab it, he got the tear-off, but a second one came off with it and ended up on the roof.
Yeah, and that happened to me a few years ago here. We were dominating the race, and a tear-off got on the splitter and absolutely destroyed the handling of our car. So that tear-off, you would think it would blow off up there, right?
Yeah, that seemed like it tore in half, and half of it went up in the air.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why isn't he coming back to pit road to get rid of that? He's got to start at the tail end anyway.
Well, I think it's going to blow off. These cars go real fast.
Hopes.
I don't think there's not. No, there would be an issue if that thing doesn't come off, but I do think it'll blow off.
Or if it ends up on the front spoiler of somebody's car and blocks the radiator opening.
Yeah, like I say, I had that on my splitter one year.
All right, so both stage winners had issues on pit road. Denny Hamlin blocked by Austin Hill, which was not Hill's fault necessarily. Kyle Larson then had a lug nut issue. And now Chris Buescher, his team over the wall too soon. The free pass is Chase Briscoe, so we will restart with 30 cars on the lead lap.
Guys, I don't understand them not coming and getting that tear off that roof. That could actually affect the aerodynamics. You had nothing to lose by coming down there and getting it off that roof.
Well, you're exactly right, Larry.
And it's still on there. You can see it.
It's not like we didn't cover it for them and give them some great pictures of it. So hopefully it blows off.
Well, clearly they were planning on it blowing off.
All right, stage 3. Pace car is in. 2 Chevys on point. Larson and Busch ahead of 2 Toyotas, Gibbs and Truex. Green flag.
Haven't heard that name much today. Truex Jr., look at him. Pushing up 5 on the inside. I'm here to report that the tear-off blew off as soon as we took off.
Wow, 4 wide. Oh. And contact.
Lots of tire smoke.
Austin Cindric threads the needle. Oh, that's tight right there with that black car right in the middle.
4 wide in the front straightaway. Here comes Logano on that outside.
Well, all these guys know that this is the time you make up the most positions, and you got to go.
And these restarts are really ratcheting up right here. Just keep getting more and more aggressive, more confident in their race cars, more desperate for some of them.
Reddick comes up into 5th after a 3-wide battle with Chastain and Bowman. And behind that, here's Byron and Elliott battling for 9th.
We really thought that William Byron would drive all the way through the field. His car looked so strong yesterday.
Trouble turn 2. And down goes Jimmy Johnson. 2 cars still up at the wall in a 3-car pileup in the middle of 1 and 2.
There's Austin Hill with damage, and it's Corey LaJoie on that outside up against the wall.
And that will be the first caution of the day other than the stage breaks, and makes a short day for the 7-time champion.
Looks like he's getting out. His day will be done.
I believe I saw 3 cars involved, and Austin Hill may have been the third of those. You're riding with Johnson.
Here, looking outside, looking outside.
I don't think he got clipped, right? I don't know why, but
really
something
hard to
nailed
tell.
him.
That car just immediately turned around.
All right, LaJoie has made his way back to pit road as we're under caution at lap 176. Kyle Larson leading under caution here in Kansas. 178 laps complete. Time for today's Credit One Bank ones to watch. So Clint, who not named Larson, do you have an eye on?
It's 45 car. Tyler Reddick's won 3 times here in that 45. And anybody's in it, right? All 3 drivers wanted a 45, but I think fell back a little bit. Track conditions are changing. My man's moving to the front, Kevin.
Well, I like the 8 car, Kyle Busch. He's done a great job today adjusting on his car and doing what he has to do to consistently stay up front. Right now, it seems like you just don't need to make any mistakes.
Well, I was watching Chris Buescher until the pit crew miscue, but I got an eye on Ty Gibbs. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Hey, maybe today. And that's your Credit One Bank ones to watch with 89 laps to go. Now, Jimmy Johnson lifted for something ahead of him Corey LaJoie ran in the back of Johnson, and then Austin Hill was also involved in bringing out this caution. So you're riding with LaJoie.
See the tire smoke up there on the outside? I think it was tire. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well,
you're looking in the background of a deal.
You definitely
surely
see the
checked for
smoke.
something, right?
Yeah, you definitely see the smoke up there, and I think Jimmy saw that smoke, and you know, the 7 car of Corey LaJoie was right on his bumper, spun him out. Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
I think that was Bubba Wallace, that teal car ahead. Somebody got in his right rear, saw that smoke, made an adjustment, checked up, and got run over.
Yeah, and typically your eyes aren't that good, but you definitely caught that one. Good job.
This is shaping up, boys. I like what you said about Kyle Busch. This car is back. They're running well. They ran well. They were on the pole last week. This could be.
Now
exactly
LaJoie is able to continue, but what happened in there left him questioning.
You all right? Yeah. Was there a reason he just stopped? I don't know.
Yeah, there was. There definitely was. Trouble ahead. And we saw the smoke finally, you know, in that last view there. You could see it in his in-car. That's a bird's eye view. That's what he saw. He saw that smoke and checked up, made an adjustment.
John Nemechek will get the free pass under this, the 3rd caution flag of the day, for Jimmy Johnson, Corey LaJoie, and Austin Hill.
My people! Oh my gosh, it feels good to be home. Oh my, it is Cinco de Mayo, huh? All right. First one, who wants it? How do we do? I love you guys. That is the tailgate king. It's Kansas, man. Always so much fun. I'm telling you, the infield of these NASCAR races, if you haven't been, if you haven't camped, camping, I've camped since I was a little boy in a motorhome. The experience at a NASCAR race that these people have, there's a reason they come back time and time again. Race after race, I meet people that have been coming for years, Kevin. Generations, coming with their dad, coming with their grandpa. NASCAR has the best camping in any form of sport. I could tell you, people at a NASCAR track have more fun than ever.
Is that Jimmy's car going through the campground?
See, where else can you go and see it, like a 7-time champion?
I suppose. All right,
on a parade.
On the choose, Kyle Larson on the inside, Kyle Busch on the outside. John Hunter Nemechek was the free pass. He was also speeding on pit road, so he does not get to choose.
You know, one that we
how
didn't
do you get
choose,
the free pass and speed?
One that we, yeah, that's really bad. One that we did not talk about and ones to watch is this Truex. We know that he's dangerous. We know he's a champion.
That's right.
And he's a quiet threat to this race.
Well,
keep an eye on Martin Truex Jr.
You can't be quiet right here. You're going to have to be aggressive. And these restarts are going to continue to get more and more aggressive. We've talked about them all day, but as we get closer to the end of this race, they're going to get aggressive, more aggressive up front. So he's going to have to be aggressive on this restart because you're going to have to do what you have to do. 2 wide, 3 wide push.
Byron finally cracking the top 10. You heard Jamie McMurray talk about him all the way from the back. He did stall out. I was reluctant to kind of sell that because he was stalled out in that 15th place land, somewhere around in there. Finally gets that car in some better air like he spoke of in that top 10. That thing might come alive.
All right, how about a happy 90th birthday to two-time modified national champion Carl Bugsy Stevens. That comes up May 11th. And in honor of his big day up there in Rehoboth, Mass, we'll crank it up on the restart.
It's in the wall. There's a wreck and on the back straightaway.
Trouble back straightaway. Bubba Wallace gets turned around by a car bouncing off the wall as they were 4 wide coming off turn number 2.
I think it was that car right there, Austin Cindric. You said there was a car on that outside wall, clipped Bubba as he went by, spun him around backwards.
Michael McDowell involved.
They were back there at 3, maybe 4 wide with Cindric on that outside. Probably got aero tight behind the cars in front of him. Got in the wall.
Well, they were 4 wide with Logano on the bottom, then Christopher Bell, then a third car, Cindric, and then another one. AMR safety crew. Looks like Denny Hamlin may have made contact with Austin Cindric to start this one.
You see Denny Hamlin in trouble, lifted out of the gas, moves them all up the racetrack from an adjustment.
Oh, Logano comes up, Bell comes up, and the 11 gets into the 2.
Then when he spins back down the track, he clips Bubba in the right rear, turns him around.
And everybody scatters.
Fly off that thing.
Yeah, and that is not what Bubba Wallace needed. They've had a rough few weeks. Finishing races is so important. You see just wrong place, wrong time, but you get in the middle of the pack like that, things are going to happen. See Cindric come back down and clip that right rear of Bubba Wallace.
You see the right rear wheel flopping around. That toe link broke.
Boy, and then hard into McDowell. Austin Dillon had a ringside seat. So did Harrison Burton. And Nemechek takes evasive action way down to the track apron. Hemrick makes it through.
And it was that way on the last restart. Just everybody going for it, pushing a little bit harder. Grip levels up. Confidence is up. 3, 4 wide doesn't work for long. A pinball, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that could have been Denny Hamlin. It could have very easily been Denny Hamlin. You know, you make those mistakes, or you not running good and you get in the middle of the pack, and things like this just happen a split second.
Now Wallace and McDowell are able to continue after that, while Austin Cindric will climb out of his number 2.
I'm in a tough spot, Chris, because if I run that distance around the outside, I'm so tight I can't get the throttle down and I get past. But if I run low, I'm tight, so I'm going to have terrible runs off. So I'm just in a bad spot.
Yeah, and the further you get back in the pack, and in the middle of the pack, especially when you don't have options to put the nose of your car where you want it to be. Denny Hamlin was right behind the guy in front of him in the center lane because he couldn't go anywhere to the outside or the inside because of where he was at on the racetrack. So when that happens, you don't have an option of making your car do what you want it to do. So those restarts are tough. Track position is tough, but this track position happened because of
mistake on pit road. But exactly what he spoke of right there, being tight, is what prompted that. That's what started that whole chain reaction of the wreck, really.
Let's check with Regan.
Well, Mike, Jimmy Johnson's been checked and released from the infield car center. Jimmy, we saw the contact going into turn 1. What happened from your perspective in the driver's seat?
Yeah, just hard racing on these restarts. Certainly disappointed to get hit from behind, spun out, turn around, but I'm confident it wasn't on purpose. Just kind of one of those racing things. So unfortunate, but we'll dust ourselves off and take the AdventHealth Toyota home, and get ready to do it again in May. But just trying to set myself up for the corner, and obviously I got a little help from behind, and just kind of hanging on from there.
All right, thank you, Jimmy.
Corey LaJoie got into the back of Johnson, and then Austin Hill was involved. And Jimmy watching the 7 go by and giving him the long stare.
Well, that shows you how frustrating it can be.
Daniel Suarez gets the free pass. Cautions breed cautions. I think that's what Clint was drawing there. We're going to take you box side by side. Welcome back to Kansas. 78 laps to go.
One thing to note, look at Kyle Busch leading this race. He was able to beat him to that timing line when the caution came out, put him in the lead, and the option to go to the bottom, Kevin, chose the bottom.
Well, it really is kind of a crapshoot at this point as to which lane is the right lane you go with. You know, what you think you have for the best handling of your car, the best pusher. There's a lot of things that'll go into this, and then they'll go with just you know, what the best choice is that the pit crew or the crew chief tells them from the top of the pit box because of what's happened during the day, or what the analytics tell them is the best lane of choice. So depends on what their process is of choosing.
Here is the stat for Clint's cautions breed cautions draw there. Now, Kyle Busch, on a 32 race winless streak, has won a race in 19 straight seasons, going for 20 as we get the restart with 77 to go.
Well, he got a good restart right there. Immediately got clear of that 5 car on the outside.
How about Byron? Looking to the inside of Gragson, 3 wide on the inside. Here he comes.
Remember, no out of bounds. That white line is just there for reference to separate the banking from the apron. Chastain creeping up the outside.
Nope. Hold on to it, Byron. Still 3 wide. Byron slipped up a little bit into Gragson. Not into him, but he moved him up the racetrack. Saw pipes, the flames coming out of Gregson's pipes. He had to lift.
And Hocevar is a player for the first time today. And
here
comes
momentum
Truex
on the outside. Here comes Truex.
Turn 2.
Harrison Burton around backwards. That was clear at the back.
Not sure if that was the result of contact.
All 4 tires are down on that car. Logano was in trouble off of 2 as well.
Burton was 31st.
Slid up the racetrack, but it was well ahead of them. These boys are getting it on.
Burton would have been the free pass car, so there will not be one.
He's going to be stuck with all 4 of those tires down.
All right, way on the right side of your screen, Harrison Burton.
He seemed loose.
Whoops.
This comes around on him. Like he was in the way Caprice, it looked like, and just got loose. A lot of dirty air back there, Kevin.
Yeah, and they've had a tough day. They've run back there most of the day and just got out from underneath Harrison right there. And like you say, he's going to have trouble moving because all four tires are flat on the car, so it'll be sitting on the rub blocks and won't move.
Now, we did a little investigating after last week in the situation with Todd Gilliland, and NASCAR confirmed there are tow straps built in to the bumper cover, front and rear on all of these cars. They may be covered by helicopter tape and not visible, but they are accessible in case a car needs to be towed. But this one with the 4 tires down, they need to pick it up, take it back to the garage.
Yeah, and I'd be terrible at making those decisions because I would just do this. I would just hook it up every time and just not even worry about dragging the back of the diffuser off because it took way too long last week. But this week they just hook it right up and going to drag it back.
So in the last 25 laps, well, 3 caution flags, and we're building on cautions. Caution breed cautions. Darrell Waltrip started that with us many years ago with NASCAR on Fox as we get toward the end of a race. And here we are in this situation again. Why is it so prevalent? Is it because the cars are so close on restarts? Everybody's trying to get all they can on restarts? Or is it just the way it happens?
It's that. Everybody's trying to get all that they can on the restarts because that's the place that you gain the most and the easiest place to gain the most. But now they're taking more risk because you can run the top, you can run the middle. But while they're taking risks, they're also holding the throttle down a little bit longer when it's getting tight, and they're starting to bang into each other and really take some chances.
And all the while that's happening in the back, it's heating up in the front. Kyle Busch in this 8 car, he continues to impress. You picked him for the ones to watch there, credit one. I think you might be right. This would be a big day for RCR if they can get this 8 car in victory lane.
Well, they've done a good job all day of just adjusting on their car and being able to put themselves in a position to stay up front all day.
Now, let's check with our crew chief, Larry Mack, because last time we had some drivers top off, and Larry and I discussed we didn't think they could make it to the end. What about this time, Larry?
Well, Mike, there's going to be 73 to go as they come around. And I think now if you did pit for fuel, I don't think you're going to see the guys up front pit. But if you're back in the pack, come on, get 4 tires, get that thing full of fuel, and you're right there on the threshold of being able to make it.
Well, here's some Kyle Busch radio on just that topic.
So this will make breaking up the stage a little bit interesting. I'm sure you're going to have some guys short pit like normal still. You'll have some guys that probably pitted here that will run long and try to take advantage of it, hoping for a caution. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a mixed bag on strategy here at the end.
Yeah, and this is where it's the worst spot to be the leader, because everybody's going to do what you don't do, right?
Absolutely. This is an opportunity for somebody. Question is, who's this going to land in favor of?
Yeah, and then it comes down to how many guys pit, how many guys don't pit, how many stay out, what's your buffer. There's so many scenarios that go into this particular strategy right here. So, and sometimes the strategy is just do what the other guy doesn't do.
What's what splits the field, right?
Yeah.
And that's what creates the opportunity.
And I like Larry's cautious optimism that you could stop here and top off, and if there are more cautions, you'd make it to the finish. Decisions.
Those boys and girls sitting up on top of those pit boxes are smart. They'll all have a theory and a strategy. As Rodney Childers used to tell me, it's never a guess. It's well thought out.
All right, Ross Chastain and team have been talking it over.
So we're still several laps away from window open under caution. Some of these guys have been getting a little bit better mileage. We're kind of at that, if we pit now, point, we're still going to be a few short. That's why I like that I just drive it, buddy. You tell me.
None of them are going to take. Well, here comes a couple deep in the field. Maybe who is that? Hamlin? Hamlin's going to go for it. Butcher, he's back from the back. It's going to take. This might be an opportunity for that 17 car. Loss of track position. Let's see if it catapults them back to where they need to be. Not as many as I thought, though, huh? Kind of goes back to what Phil Surgeon was talking about with Chastain.
Yeah, and it definitely, you know, you just never know how this is going to shake out. So you might as well do the opposite of what the leader does.
So 12 cars on the lead lap pitted under this caution. Let's check with Regan.
Well, Austin Cindric standing outside the Infield Car Center right now, having a decent day. Austin stayed in the top 15 all day long. Heard you say you were getting happy with your race car. How frustrating is this to be out now?
Yeah, it's frustrating. We had, like you said, we had a solid day. Pit crew had done an awesome job. Yeah, I mean, it's just racing, man. I mean, when you're 4 wide, the first car to hit the wall is going to be me, right? So, yeah, I was trying to keep it off the rest of the field, and just I guess other cars got caught up in that. But yeah, I knew the 20 car was down there. I didn't know the 22, and I saw the 20 flash of purple just shoot up in front of me, and 11 had to hit the brakes. I had to jump on the brakes. It sucks. Snap-on Ford Mustang was decent. Like I said, I had a decent day, and just sucks to give away all those points. We're just on the fringe there, man, and we gotta make the most of every day. And I know it's a long way out, but yeah, don't like watching the end of these things.
Glad you're okay. Thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Regan. Next Sunday on FS1, we're going to throw it back at legendary Darlington Raceway. Pre-race is 1:30 Eastern for the Goodyear 400, which will take the green at 3 next Sunday on FS1. So on the choose, Busch to the inside, Larson outside, Truex inside, Gibbs outside. Have we seen the last caution?
No.
No chance.
Well, I have to ask.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting on this restart to see what these guys on sticker tires do firing off, because on these cycled tires, it just, you know, the front doesn't turn. You know, especially when you get further and further back in the pack, it just becomes harder and harder to get the throttle down and get the front of the car to turn.
Now, the first car on fresh tires is back in the 8th row. It's Brad Keselowski in the 6th. Of the cars that just stopped, he is the first one, Keselowski and the cars behind him, on fresh tires for this restart. The longest green flag run of stage 3 has been, count them, 3 laps.
They're adding up quick, Mike. The cautions.
Yes.
Not the laps.
No.
See the Hunt Brothers Pizza onboard camera there. I miss seeing all the Hunt Brothers people at the racetrack. Spent so many years with everybody from Hunt Brothers. Inside Joey Logano's car now.
Yep.
All right, guys.
It'll be 70 laps to go when they come to the line. Busch and Larson in front of Gibbs and Truex, Chastain and Reddick, Byron and Bowman.
Yeah, Kyle Larson with a much better start that time.
Much better push out of the back end with Ty Gibbs pushing him off into that corner. Here it is, mano a mano. Come off the corner, door to door for the lead.
See Kyle Larson chase him down Kyle Busch down the racetrack to get that side draft, so he's able to check him up down the straightaway. Sun's gone down, track's back cool, lights are on. It's going to be okay.
Trouble around goes Logano.
Oh. Unbelievable, guys.
Hold on, one more coming. All right, you're good. Get it going. We have a flat, guys.
Joey was 16th at the time and had a lot of cars right around him. Now he is just short of the start-finish line on the track apron. And flat tired, he is not going anywhere. So here come the Steps Wreckers and the AMR safety team to help him out. I believe there was contact with Briscoe.
Well, watch 14, Briscoe moving up. He was in trouble. Moves up, looks tight. You see him lifting out of the gas. Next thing you know, it's put Logano in a bad spot, and away he went. Got clipped a little bit by Gillen on his outside. That all started because of 14 in trouble.
Yeah, and it's become worse for Joey Logano on the front stretch. He's sitting on those rub blocks and stuck.
Wild. All this green flag running. Now we can't make a lap.
Well, every caution lap that we run, it becomes more interesting with those guys that just pitted.
Yeah, now you get closer and closer to the guys that didn't pit, needing to pit.
Yeah, now they only have one lap on their tires.
Now the rear tires are up, the front tires are down, so that car won't go anywhere. And he's hooked up to the wrecker. Here's some Kyle Busch audio.
This puts you in a little bit of a predicament here because now, by the time you go back green, you're going to be pretty much ready to go the whole way. Yeah, and those that just did it will either fuel only here and jump you.
Exactly. Exactly. This is going to be just what the doctor ordered for the 11 car. These guys all have to pit right here. It's going to land it right in their lap. Who else? Buescher. We'll have to see.
And that's why you take those chances when you have the win in the bank or you're running in the back or whatever the scenario is, to do the opposite of the leader, because you just don't know how the cautions are going to fall. So do something different, and that'll give you an opportunity that you may not have otherwise had.
So Logano's car goes off on the hook. Larry, how close are we to the window?
Mike, I'm confident pitting right here, no matter what you do tire-wise, as long as you pack it full of fuel, this puts you in the window to make it to the end.
Well, if you do, and it looks like a lot of them are on the ready, it's gonna put the 11 and that 17 right in a catbird seat.
Well, it should cycle Keselowski, Gilliland, Blaney, Hamlin, Dillon, and others who pitted late to the front, assuming they do not stop. Kyle Larson got the lead as of the last scoring loop crossed before the caution flag waved. And he's staying out.
Well, it's still closed.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Yeah, I see the red
Yeah,
light flashing down there. I think they just dropped Joey Logano off in his pit stall. So they're going one more lap.
I'm very confused because at one end of pit road I see a green light.
Yeah.
But that's for exiting the pits, not for entering.
I live confused, so don't worry about it, Mike.
Seems like
Mike, the guy this puts in an interesting situation, though, is Brad Keselowski, because he pitted at 181, where you look at Hamlin and Buescher, they pitted at 195. So that puts Brad in an interesting situation with that 6 car.
Well, we saw Chris Buescher. Oh. Man.
You know, if you're Chris Buescher and you have the hiccup on pit road, what do you need to do? Separate yourself. Try to find something within this race that's going to separate yourself from the rest of the competition and create that opportunity. That's exactly what that afforded them to do right here.
We'll find out what Atlanta Braves means. That's their code they just gave Kyle Busch, the 8 car, Atlanta Braves.
Corey Heim gets the free pass on this caution flag, the 6th of the race, and the 4th caution in the last 23 laps. Now pit road is open, and here they all come. Regan?
Mike, lengthy discussion back and forth between Kyle Busch and Randall Burdett about what they were going to do. It ended up being an earthquake as the pit call, which should be 2 tires right here. They talked about it for a while. In the 45 car, Tyler Reddick had been getting better all day long, but he has been tight all day long. They've had to free that car up. Jamie?
And same thing with the 54 Ty Gibbs. They've been tight. They've been freeing him up. They came in because the leaders came in. Lakeside is the call for Kyle Larson. In for 4 tires. Air pressure adjustment almost hits the 21 on exit.
Puts a lot of cars in front of those 4 tires on Larson.
Yeah, but I like it, Clint. I like 4 tires. I think it makes you more versatile on the restart and lets you maneuver that car. So we'll see.
65 laps to go in Kansas as most of the lead lap cars choose to pit under this caution. On that caution flag, The first 6 cars down to Michael McDowell stayed on the racetrack, led by Todd Gilliland, McDowell's teammate. Hamlin, Buescher, Haley, and Wallace, along with McDowell, did not pit. So Kyle Busch in the number 8 will be the first car on new tires when we restart. And here's the 38's radio.
Here's the deal. It does get us to the end, but your tires are going to be junk. So our pace is pretty good. Obviously, clean air is going to be good for us. So yeah, it's a little bit of a risky move, but I feel we have good potential to get out front.
Ryan Brigetti, crew chief. Todd Gilliland.
Well, that's going to be a tough spot to be in for Todd. You know, I think even if their car has good speed, I think the tires are going to mean something. So the guy that I really like is on the outside right there with Denny Hamlin. We know he's only got half a lap on his tires, 1 lap on his tires at the most.
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it.
That yellow flag come out there, them boys were licking their chops. Thank you very much.
Well, Gilliland came in 4 caution flags ago. He was 15th at the time of the caution. So had he pitted right now, he'd be outside the top 20. So we'll see how it works out.
I mean, that 23, both of those cars right there were around backwards. Just what, 2 cautions ago?
Yeah.
Now we're back in the front, and all is well.
Gilliland, Hamlin, Buescher, Haley, Wallace, McDowell, all on older tires. Here we go.
Whoa, that was so close. Kyle Busch got in the wall a little bit. LaJoie moved up the racetrack. He had to make an adjustment there, Kevin. I think he brushed it, but he didn't hit it hard enough to affect that car. Look at this. 4 wide off of 4. Here comes Truex on the outside.
Well, you just have so many different strategies right here. You got cars on 4 tires. You got cars on no tires. Guys checking up. Kyle Larson, he's kind of pinned down on the bottom of the racetrack right now. The guy who made it.
Huge still a lot of 3 wide. These cars and no tires too. Everybody's having trouble getting up through the field. I cannot believe they got through with that. You see Larson just barely clear off of 4, picking another position up.
Chris Buescher for the lead on Denny Hamlin.
You know he's hungry. This would be a huge win for RFK, putting that 17 car in victory lane.
Now those 2 were doing a good job getting away from the field when they were single file. This may bring Busch and Wallace to them, but they are double file as well.
Yeah, and Chris Buescher right now needs to do all he can to clear Denny Hamlin.
I think he is.
Not that he isn't, but it looks like he is clear, yes.
All the way back through 10th, there's nobody single file.
And
now there is.
The reason I say that about Denny Hamlin is we know his car is going to get better and better compared to the field the longer that he runs.
Christopher Bell started on pole, he and McDowell, and here comes Larson. Wants to split them up.
Well, and he knows he needs to go. He needs to let those leaders get as little distance as possible. He needs to keep that gap as short as possible to take advantage of those 4 tires. But it's going to be tough for Kyle Larson with Chris Buescher and Denny Hamlin out there only having 1 lap on their tires. But this is going to be a long run if it goes green.
Yeah, just when you think things have settled down, you look at Gregson and Elliott side by side for position there.
Yeah, you almost don't know where to look. I mean, there's cars all over the place.
And everybody's in a battle.
Those old tires falling back, the new tires coming in a hurry.
Gilliland doing a pretty good job holding his own in 4th place now, as Larson and Wallace nose to tail for 6th. McDowell just ahead of them. again on older tires.
Well, you heard Todd Gilliland's crew chief talk about, being confident in the speed of their car, and he was obviously right, because once this is settled out, he's settled in right behind Kyle Busch. But we've seen those guys make some good calls. We've seen them have good speed in their car.
Well, he was my dark horse pick last week. I guess I peaked too soon. 1 week too soon, that is.
Look how much better all those cars are running at clean air. I mean, McDowell's the same way. He's got taped the right side of that car up, had a big hole in it, big gaping hole. Look at this. Here comes Blaney in the mix, Stenhouse. These boys are getting after it. Heating up for the lead, too. Denny running right back down, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's just the interesting part about Denny's car today is it seems like it takes it 5-10 laps to take off, and
here he comes.
It just doesn't fall off as much as the rest of them.
Well, the Blue Oval Brigade has their hopes pinned on Buescher, trying to win Ford's first NASCAR national race of the season.
And you see Buescher fight back on the outside right there. Denny was just a bumper cover distance from being clear right there.
I think Denny has a lot of confidence in the speed, the long run speed of his race car. He was pretty easy on Buescher, passing him for the lead, kind of let him go and drove right back to him here. I think he knows he gets his car up front on the long run. That's his strong suit.
Buescher with pace on the outside, but Hamlin gets a good launch off the bottom of turn 2.
Still door to door. Drove it down way deep into the corner. He's going to slide up in front of him here, try to take that lead away. Obviously going to try to cross over on Buescher. No prevail. Denny Hamlin to the lead.
Meanwhile, Kyle Larson takes 4th from Gilliland. Here's the 11's radio.
Nice and patient here, thinking about your long run balance, how you can manipulate it.
It's exactly what I was talking about. That was in the back of his mind the whole time, wasn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, and like we talked about, this is going to be one of those really long runs that we've run a little bit of distance today, but not like this.
38 cars started this race. 33 of them have run at least 1 lap in the top 10 today. Close to, but not quite a record.
That's this racetrack. That's these restarts. The progressive banking, Kevin, that you told us about in the pre-race show. This place just always seems to put on a hell of a show for these race cars.
And it's really mixed up the field with the way that the cautions have fallen.
Hocevar in the top 10. He finished a career best 10th at the last 1.5-mile track we visited, Texas. He restarted 21st.
We see Chase Elliott on the bottom of Carson there. We all agree that Carson Hocevar is a gasser. As we see the race for the lead, staying heated up. It's not heating back up. It's just staying that way.
Last lap, Hamlin, Buescher, and Busch ran identical lap times.
Look at that.
Sure did. 31:26, 31:26, 31:26. 1, 2, 3.
Only car on the track that was faster was Chase Elliott back in 10th place with a 24.
Well, next lap.
Yep.
Top 2 cars, 31:37, 31:37. Exact same speeds matched 2 laps in a row by those first and second place cars. Pretty unbelievable, really.
Blaney and Gregson, 16th place.
See Tyler Reddick so close to that wall on the exit of turn 4 right there, but he's pretty comfortable up next to that wall.
He is fun to watch. .48 laps to go as things start to string out over half the distance around Kansas Speedway. Ty Gibbs back in 22nd after that stop.
Yeah, you see the flames out of both sides of Chris Buescher's pipes right there. Larry telling us in our ear that Chris is using a fair amount of brake. Most likely that's to get the nose set to try to get back to the gas, partial throttle a little bit through the center of the corner as quick as possible. Sometimes you get on that brake a little bit harder than than you want to just make that nose turn.
That brake temperature, using that brake though, you got to be careful. The brake temperature will build pressure in the front tires and it'll make you tight. Crossing back over, might go for a slide job here. Can he get up in front of him?
Hamlin steaming around the outside and back to the lead.
Look at that momentum. Carries all the way down the back straightaway, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 car lengths.
And the longer we go on this run, the more dominant that top will get. You can make good time on the bottom, and it's as Darrell used to say, it's that sucker hole on the bottom, or in the middle on the super speedways. Here, it's the sucker hole is on the bottom. You get through the entry of the corner, down to the center of the corner, you get back to the gas, you get about 3/4 of the way through that corner on the bottom, and then the front just starts to take off.
How about an attaboy for 2 drivers who were involved in incidents, now running 6th and 7th. McDowell and Wallace were both facing the wrong way on at least one occasion today, but here they are in the top 10.
Shows you how much these cars like that clean air. Changes the whole game for them. Gilliland holding tough, top 5. McDowell, that car's wrecked even.
Yep.
Wallace was around backwards, to your point. You put him up front, changes the game for these drivers.
Front row, 5th and 6th there. And there's Wallace with Truex, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, we've seen Martin Truex run at the front most of the day. Obviously, on that pit cycle right there, he got cycled to the back a little bit and having to work his way back through traffic. Pole sit. See our pole sitter Christopher Bell right there, running 9th.
Now Larry did a little digging into the tire strategy for Todd Gilliland, and Larry, I'm surprised.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland, the 38, his crew chief Ron Briganti, and I've been practicing that name ever since Texas, by the way. But yeah, they have not changed left side tires since the end of stage 2. At lap 180, Ryan brought him in and changed right sides only, got that track position.
.42 laps to go for the lead. This just does not let up. Chris Buescher will not let go of Denny Hamlin, and you'll see it all as we go Fox side by side, coming to 41 laps to go in Kansas. Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, fastest cars on the racetrack that last lap. Now Martin Truex Jr. Is quickest. A lot of movement through the field, but Denny Hamlin holds the lead. But is there something amiss there? Larry, what's the data showing you on Hamlin?
Yeah, it looks like he gets loose every once in a while, Mike, especially the way he has to work the steering wheel and works the throttle. He's way late on the straightaway, both ends of the racetrack, getting back full throttle. It's like it changes on him almost from lap to lap.
Well, it was definitely 2 laps in a row, a big hiccup, and Buescher drove right to the outside of him and actually went around him. But as soon as he did, Denny went right back to the whip, pushed that horse back by him. But Larson got around Busch behind them in the mirror. Watch for him to be coming. Keep an eye on them laps, them lap times right there, the separation.
And that doesn't surprise me what Larry's saying about Denny Hamlin's car. Just, you know, one lap he's doing this, one lap he's doing that, and each corner it's different. Like, you have to just keep up with the car as it wears the tires down. It just acts funny and moves funny and does strange things. So just have to keep up with the car, keep up with the track, try to put the car in the right spot to get the thing. You see he's changed his line and straightening that exit out. So he might have been moving around trying to figure it all out.
All right, 35 laps to go in this 400 miler in case you missed it. Battles for the lead early. Kyle Larson along with Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin all figure to be in the mix today. We've had them 5 wide at Kansas Speedway for the front spot. Chris Buescher threads the needle in a hole that was closing up there. Denny Hamlin stops deep in the box, then has trouble getting out of his pit after winning stage 1. Then stage 2, the tire changer for Chris Buescher is over the wall too soon. He has to restart in the back. Jimmy Johnson lifts and Corey LaJoie gets into the back of Johnson's number 84, ending the 7-time Champs Day. And then cautions breed caution. Austin Cindric gets bumped and turned around. Harrison Burton goes for a solo spin, as does Joey Logano. In all, 4 cautions since the start of stage number 3. And here we are with 32 laps to go, and Denny Hamlin trying to hold on to a tenuous 0.4 of a second lead over Chris Buescher. Buescher's led 50 laps today. Ford had led a total of 45 laps here in the 4 races with this 7th gen car.
Kevin, I'm thinking this 11 car is managing. I don't know if he's managing the tire grip, right, tire wear, fall off speed, or fuel mileage, but I think he's managing. When he wants to and he goes to the whip, that thing will pick up 0.2 on him in a hurry.
You know, think back to the pre-race show this afternoon, Clint. He was talking about backing the corner up for air blocking and fuel mileage and all those things. I think he might have I think he tried to check up just a little bit too much, and Chris Buescher ran around the outside of him. Maybe I'm wrong there, but you know, the inconsistency in the laps makes you think, and looking at the radio chatter, that they're needing to save some gas here and there because they've told him if he gets in a position to have some of those fuel savings. Regan?
Well, Kevin, just to back up what you guys are talking about right now, about a lap and a half ago, crew chief Chris Gabehart reminded Denny again, you have to manage everything right here. So makes sense what you guys are saying.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, back in that, trying to use that air blocking and put the car in the right spot, backing up that entry, letting off early, you know, because we've seen him run some 3160s and he's also run some 32 flats. So I think he's definitely in that position of trying to save gas when he can. But I think he got passed because he mismanaged and almost checked up too much.
Chase Elliott moved up to 8th there on Michael McDowell. Again, McDowell on the older tires. Todd Gilliland still holding his own there in 7th. Hamlin and Buescher out front, pitted at lap 195, but with only 1 green flag lap on their tires before the next 4 cars came in at lap 202.
Yeah, and I think if Denny Hamlin is in that spot, Chris Buescher's in that spot too, you know, from a fuel standpoint. So Kyle Larson behind him.
Starting to catch him a little bit. I've been watching that gap. Goes from a second to maybe 1.2, back to a second.
You see all these guys starting to chop that exit of turn 2. straighten that exit out, because we heard Kyle Larson talk earlier about that black rubber up against the wall and how it got slick. It's obviously pretty slick on the exit over there right now, because all these guys late center have straightened that exit out to come down below that top seam. Watch them come off this exit of turn 2. See these guys go right through the middle of the corner. You see Chris Buescher, you see Kyle Larson. They're all starting to straighten that exit to get out of that third lane, because it just doesn't have the grip, whether you're sliding the front or walking the back up off the corner loose.
Last week, Denny Hamlin tied Lee Petty for 12th on NASCAR's all-time win list. When informed of that, Hamlin said, "I couldn't carry Lee Petty's helmet." He was genuinely humble at the achievement. Well, his next win will tie him with Rusty Wallace, another driver like Hamlin with an outsized personality and a penchant for winning. That would be win number 55, would put him 11th. Next fella to catch would be Kevin Harvick, 10th with 60. Here's a look at Denny Hamlin's career with the 54 victories, including 3 Daytona 500s. And there's the career win list, numbers 9 through 12.
Well, Clint got it out of him today on the pre-race show. He said, "Is this the year to win the championship?" And what did he say, Clint?
Well, I told him. I mean, he wins last week in Dover, right? And how did he do it? He called his shot. I said, that's the second time he's done it. Like, Denny, it's this easy. Call your shot. Just say you're going to win the championship and go do it. Put the pressure on yourself. He did it. He said it. I'm going to win the championship. I've been watching Denny for several laps, and he is moving around, and it's got to be because of what's in his mirror. Moving around, leading this race as much as I've ever seen him do on the racetrack with his line.
14th right there as we give a listen to Denny Hamlin's radio.
I got to have you manage both, bud. I need more. I know it's hard, but you got to roll back to that throttle. I don't need any throttle spike.
Now that's a tough one, Kevin. You have to save more fuel. That's not enough. Well, this guy's getting bigger in the mirror, Jack.
Yeah, and the more laps he runs, the more dominant that top becomes. So putting the car in the right spot is important to be able to do that in front of Chris Buescher. But the throttle spikes that he's talking about, Denny Hamlin is notorious for these big throttle spikes to help the car turn, but also keep that mid-corner speed up. He'll go to full throttle, go right back out of it, full throttle, right back out of it. So they're asking him not to do that with his race car, which is going to affect how it drives.
So, Larry, both those 2 lead cars were on pit road at lap 195. Toyota versus Ford. Is one or the other apt to get a little better gas mileage?
Well, all I know is Scott Graves is basically telling Chris Buescher to do the same thing, and they're monitoring the 11 radio, and they just told Chris that Gabehart's telling Hamlin to do the same thing. Roll back in the throttle. Don't spike the throttle. So both crew chiefs telling both drivers the same thing.
That's the reason Denny Hamlin's searching around, though. I've watched him. I've raced with him. I've watched him for years now in this booth, and I've never seen him move around on a racetrack that much. He's searching around trying to find an area to get out of those spikes that you just talked about, Kevin, and where he can roll around here with as little as throttle as possible, yet maintain the lead.
All right, here's an update from the 11.
Mileage is going the right direction, but I do need more. Just got to keep threading the needle.
Yeah, so if I was in this position, the 2 things that I would do is try to let off just a little bit sooner getting into the corner, do the exact same thing that you've been doing through the corner, and then I would roll back out to, 5, 7, 8% down the straightaway. And I know that doesn't sound right, but sometimes the car will run fast enough down the straightaway. You got to roll out of the throttle and run 85%, 80% down the straightaway and go full throttle to maintain your speed through the corners.
Well, all right, that sounds like a plan, but how hard is that to do when you've got a mirror full of the guy you're trying to beat for the win?
Well,
keep an eye on those.
Yeah, you see the 11 car right there. He had that little bit of throttle, but they should be telling Denny Hamlin that the guy behind you is in the same position. Do all you can.
I like that. I need to know what he's doing too. He's in the same predicament. They're telling him the same thing.
See the throttle? See the 85% on Chris Buescher's car. That's the best way to save throttle, is to not go to full throttle. Get what you can through the corners, but try to save a little bit of throttle down the straightaway.
I've also noticed Larson. He's falling off too. I think they're telling him the same thing.
Well, what they're telling them, and I quote, both of them right now are being coached to save fuel when they can, but they're really not able to. That's what they're telling Kyle Larson.
Yeah, so if you're Kyle Larson, you want to be able to try to push them as hard as you can. But you see 17 car again, he's 89% throttle in the middle of all the way down the straightaway. So all about keeping the corner speed up to where you want it to be. And as soon as you get that car straight, you start letting out of that throttle to save gas.
All right, Jamie, how about Larson?
Yeah, I've been listening to his radio clip. Daniels told him exactly what you guys are talking about the 11 and 17 saving. He did not tell his driver to back off save at all. In fact, he said we're 3 laps to the good right now.
Larson was on pit road 7 laps after Hamlin and Buescher. Well, let's give you another look at the last 2 finishes here with 17 to go. And that was last May. Denny Hamlin taking it to Kyle Larson and going to victory lane. Then last fall, Tyler Reddick storms to the front and wins. $16 to go. 5 cars within 5 seconds of the leader.
I think Buescher pulled the chute for a little bit. He's trying to save a little bit more. He really fell off the last 3 or 4 laps.
Fastest car on the racetrack is Brad Keselowski in 7th.
Yeah, and he's going to fall in that group that doesn't need to save gas. You know, it's really the guys that are in the bad spot are Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, Todd Gilliland. You know, those are the guys that are really in a box. Todd Gilliland's going to have to pit.
Been a good day for him. 30th. You see it just keep marching slowly to the front into a single digit here, running 7th.
Gilliland's last stop was lap 180, and as Larry pointed out, he's had the same left side tire since the start of stage 2.
Kyle Busch looked like he got high, got in trouble. Here comes Truex around him.
Truex up to 4th. All part of that group that stopped at lap 202 from Larson on back to Keselowski. Ty Gibbs has come to pit road. He was running just outside the top 20 in a group with Chastain, Reddick, and LaJoie.
Yeah, I think, like you say, Clint, I think Chris Buescher has gone into extreme fuel savings.
Yeah, I think they called him off. He fell off drastically last.
He is quickly going to fall into the clutches of Kyle Larson.
Yeah, but look how far Larson's fell back. I mean, he had it to a second at one time.
And Larry points out, with nobody filling up his mirror, Denny Hamlin has backed it off to save fuel.
And that's what you hope. You hope you get in a position to where you can just give that gap back up to get the fuel savings that you need. But if you can run through the corner like you need to and get out of the gas down the straightaway like you see right there on the throttle, you see Denny Hamlin just lift off to 60-70% gas, drive it through the corner, get back to the throttle. Right now he's just coasting right there. He didn't even touch the throttle.
He's actually even moved down on the racetrack, running in the middle through 3 and 4, and it was a little bit lower in 1 and 2. I think that's all. It's just trying to figure out where you can go and save fuel.
Well, let's go back to the leaders radio.
Same on the back stretch when you can. I really like the front. Same on the back. 1.4 out the back. Manage that gap. I need it all.
He's getting a little nervous.
Well,
sounds nervous on that.
Yeah, he does sound nervous. I'm concerned too, Clint, because you know the crew chief is telling him to save gas. He's got that huge lead, but
10 to go.
There was a big portion of this run that they weren't able. Didn't look like they were saving much gas at all.
All right, Ty Gibbs, the 54, has got new tires. He's going to be flying around that group he was with. Zane Smith. just going a lap down to race leader Denny Hamlin, and Carson Hocevar has had to come to pit road, falling off the lead lap. Gas and go for Hocevar to run these final 9 laps.
Yeah,
boy, Truex keeps coming.
Yeah, here comes another car that doesn't need gas. Martin Truex has really got that thing wound up. Chris Buescher's in fuel savings mode, and Martin Truex is in full gas mode.
Yeah, gonna have to let him go. Question is, can Truex run him down? Larson's backed off even more. They're calling him off.
Yeah,
there goes Busch.
I don't know that they're calling him off, Clint. I think his car might have just fallen off.
Larry?
Yeah, James Small just told Martin Truex Jr., do not give them any opportunity to save fuel. Keep the pressure on.
All right. And again, Keselowski, fastest car on the racetrack this lap.
Keep an eye on this right there. It's under a second. It's going to put the pressure on Denny Hamlin.
It's going to put a lot of pressure on Denny Hamlin, because once he gets
there, you see it right there.
He's going to have to go.
That's going to be a half a second by the time we get.
Oh, Kyle Busch.
Well, that's going to take care of all that conversation.
Just try to get it back rolling here before the leader gets there. Leader is turn 4.
Kyle was 5th when he went around.
Wow.
Well, so much for all that.
Well, Larry, does that just change everything?
I'll let you point this out, then we'll talk about it.
All right.
Stepped out from underneath him. Well, we were just talking about Kyle Larson's car and just probably getting light on its feet right there, and that one did as well.
What we were talking about is Truex running Hamlin down in a big way.
Yes.
Man, I wanted to see if that was going to come to fruition. We're not going to. Now the pressure's on.
Well, yeah, it's on pit road.
That's right.
It's on the crew chief for the strategy, as you hear Kyle Busch just.
Did he zip a left front down on the flat or not really? Hard to tell.
Yeah, hard to tell. It looks like it just kind of just stepped out, but the pit crew's a lot of pressure.
All right, Larry Mack, it's all on you.
All right, we've run 55 laps. Everybody has sticker tires. That's not an issue. We've got 23 drivers on the lead lap. You've got to come to pit road, but I am not going to rule out someone rolling the dice or some rolling the dice and throwing just right sides on that car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's for sure. We learned that with the last stop, putting those 2 tires
Yeah, but
on.
the last stop, they didn't have a lot of laps on their left side tires.
Right.
This is going to
38 did.
This is going to have a full run on their left side tires. So it's
38
you
had
need
half the
friends
race
with
on
you,
them.
though.
Yeah.
You need friends to change too as well. You can't just do it by yourself.
Yeah, I think your buffer is going to be the thing that helps you, but it is. I think there's going to be a bunch of them put 2 tires on.
I'm putting 2 tires on. You put 4 on, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, Denny Hamlin's had issues on pit road, getting blocked coming out of his pit once through stopping in the box a little too deep, and then again during traffic.
Hill will be 2 laps down, so that'll be a clear out.
Okay. Here's the 11.
All right, that's a lot of tire wear, bud, but it's going to be a green-white checker. I think the call is vegetables. Okay.
Nobody likes vegetables. Did you hear that? Did you
Well,
hear
I know
his
he
voice?
didn't like his vegetables.
Nope.
Yeah.
What's a vegetable, Kevin?
I don't
Because
know.
no driver likes just 2 tires. That's what they're talking about.
Well, Buescher's call is red, white, blue. Well, everybody's in favor of the red, white, and blue.
Yeah. I don't like code words.
I don't either.
I was never smart enough to just figure out if I was 2 or 4. They start saying code words. You got stuff taped in the car. Undo this tape so you can see all the code words. It gets a little confusing.
This is exciting.
I believe Bubba Wallace is the free pass on this caution. So are they all coming?
I think it's still. Here it goes, green. Here they come.
Regan.
Mike, as they were coming through turns 3 and 4, that was when Chris Gabehart, crew chief for Denny Hamlin, said, bring it. We'll see what the call is here. As you heard, they've been talking to code words. As for the car, he has not said anything about the car this entire run. 2 tires for him. Martin Truex Jr., they've been getting better all day long. It'll be 4 tires for Martin Truex Jr. Jamie.
Keep your eye on Brad Keselowski, the best he has been all night. They called him in for this stop, as well as the 5 of Kyle Larson. Larson saying just too tight. They were in 5th. Why not pit?
All right, here comes Hamlin down to the end of the pit road. And this time gets away clean and gets out first.
About Buscher. He ain't out of it yet. Keep an eye on that 17. He's hungry. That was a really fast two-tire stop for Hamlin's guys.
How about Corey Heim in 9th place?
That's a great day.
Yeah.
And it was really close when Hamlin was pulling out. Busch was pulling into his box, and again, about got blocked.
This kid's had a couple of great weeks.
Yes.
You see Corey Heim right there in front of him, and the car right behind him is the first car on 4 tires of Martin Truex. So this is all going to come down to what lane is clear.
Now, Heim had a penalty on the first green flag stop of the race. He's overcome that, substituting for Eric Jones, who is cleared to return to the track and will do so next week at Darlington.
Well, the thing I like about Corey Heim and what he's done the last 2 weeks, here we are with 4 to go, and he's run all the laps.
Still
awesome. Won the truck race last night. How about a little radio remix?
Come through the middle here. Tight, middle to one. Still middle, clear high. You're kidding me. 7, stand up.
Well, that wasn't cool.
Nah, that's the old 7 car for you.
Down. Easy. Come down. We're in it. I'm killed. Just get it rolling when you can.
7 caution flags. All 5 of the cautions for cause coming in stage 3. And now we go to overtime. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Two-lap shootout. Green-white checker. Once the leader takes the white flag under green, the next flag will send somebody to victory lane.
And if that caution comes out before the white flag, we do the whole scenario again, Mike.
So we'll restart with 31 cars on the lead lap. Ty Gibbs and Austin Hill 1 lap down. Joey Logano. Riley Herbst 2 laps down. Harrison Burton 5 laps down. And in the garage with crash damage, Austin Cindric and Jimmy Johnson.
Well, guys, you thought those restarts earlier were aggressive. This one's for all the money.
These are the moments these drivers live for. This is the one that raises that hair up on your back, pull them belts down tight and go for it. The race is on.
Been a long day for our entire Fox crew, but we want to thank them and you for staying with us. Long rain delay. Plenty of great racing here as we come to the choose for maybe the final time today.
Hamlin takes the bottom. Chase Elliott, haven't heard much out of him. We haven't talked about him much. Right there in that 4th spot, these leaders get together, could be right there. Blaney, how about him?
Well, now look at the lower half of the top 10 and look at the drivers looking for a way to victory lane. That will restart in the top 10.
Well, Chase Elliott, you talk about there, Clint. That's kind of been his MO this year. Just quietly sneaks his way up in there in the top 5. Just good, solid days. Keeps making it happen.
Get them tires cleaned up. 2 tires stop.
Well, remember last year, I mean, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, they're going to start nose to tail. And they were the 2 racing for the lead on the final lap here 1 year ago. Will it be who gets the best jump or who gets the best push?
It'll be both of those, and then it's going to be who gets their car to turn the best when it gets over there, and who can keep it going in the right direction on the exit of turn 2. So
that's the one I like. It's whoever comes off of turn 2 with the momentum.
All right, overtime sponsored by Credit One Bank. Toyota pace car is in. Everybody's on their feet. Here we go.
It's a big jump on that outside. Great restart. Great jump. Here comes Larson to the inside. 3 wide of Denny. Momentum on the outside. Buscher to the lead.
Larson right with him. But Buscher With the launch off turn 2, Elliott way on the outside.
He's got it so far. The blocking is going to happen. Here it comes. Comes Denny to the, or excuse me, Truex to the inside. Look at the big block by Buescher. Pushes Larson up the racetrack. 3 wide behind them.
3 wide, 4 different places coming to the back. White flag under green. Buescher, Larson trying to close. Truex trying to get up to the leader.
Well,
How does he make the block, Kevin?
Kyle Larson is going to get there one more time. You see Chris Buescher back down on the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Larson's going to have one more shot at it, and it's going to become a cat and mouse game as you get into turn 3. Which direction to go?
Where do you go?
Larson up top, all the way up top. Buescher.
He's on the outside. He's in position. He's got it.
And here comes Truex. They're going to close right to the 2 leaders. Coming to the line. Crash together. I believe Buescher.
I think you're right. It's so close. This is going to be a huge win for Buescher. They're excited. I think it's him, Kevin.
That was incredible.
Corey Heim gets spun just past the checkered flag with, I think, Austin Dillon.
Oh, yeah.
Let's look at it. I don't. It may be the 5. Hold on.
Well, let's have a look at the video.
Uh-oh, boys.
Buescher is ahead. Larson is coming. It's like the Kentucky Derby.
Oh,
it's
my
that
gosh.
close. It's Larson.
Holy cow.
What a finish, boys.
Can you believe it?
I cannot.
I can. But what a crush. Oh, man. I hate it for Chris Buescher. That Larson got the run on the outside. That is a bold move.
Did you hear what he just said?
What?
0.00.
Look at these guys. Crushed. Crushed. Unbelievable.
That was an incredible last corner.
And they came together coming out of turn number 4.
Look at him.
And that may have made all the difference.
He's pumped.
25th career win.
Well, that's what we talked about going into turn 3. It was going to be that cat and mouse game. Buescher left that outside lane open just far enough for that guy.
You don't see that very often
Look
out
at
of him.
this. I love this. An Alan Kulwicki-style Polish victory lap for Kyle Larson. To put the net down, wave to the crowd, let them wave back. And Scott Graves and company just have to wonder what might have been. All right, let's unpack this last lap at Kansas.
Well, it all came down to the exit of turn 2 like we talked about. We see the last lap, Kyle Larson kept himself in position right here to get a good draft down the front straightaway. He knew he just needed to stay close right here. Chris Buescher decided he was going to the bottom. It's all about choices of lanes going in the corner. Kyle Larson did exactly what he needed to do. He got a great run off the corner. The bottom of Buescher didn't get as good of a run. And right here, it's a guess. Where's he going to go? Chris Buescher was in the middle of the racetrack, left a lane at the top, and Larson just stuck it up there.
That's what he did. He sent it in there really hard.
He tried to keep him up against the fence. They banged coming up off the corner right here a couple times, and just a wild finish.
How Buescher saved that car on the bottom like that is beyond me.
Oh my gosh.
Geez.
Just like a horse race by a nose.
What a way to kick off the month of May for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, the confusing part of that was the scoring monitor showed Chris Buescher winning the race, and then see the photos.
Well, that first angle.
What a finish.
That angle of the first shot kind of showed him in the lead. When we went to that one, they were in trouble.
You may unofficially have just seen the closest NASCAR finish ever.
I believe it.
Wow. Second win of the season for Larson, and his second at Kansas. He's led over 600 laps this year, led 63 of them tonight.
He went for it. Checkers or records is what he did right there, and he come up with the checkers.
.001 is the official margin of victory, closest in NASCAR history. Jamie Little.
What a thriller in Kansas. Officially the closest finish in NASCAR history. Take us through that last lap.
I don't know. That was wild. I was obviously thankful for that caution. We were dying pretty bad. And was happy to come out, third, and figured my best shot was going to be choose bottom and just try and split 3 wide to the inside, and worked out my car, turned well, and was able to get some runs and got through 1 and 2 really good down the backstretch, and had a big toe on Chris, and got him to kind of enter shallow, and I just committed really hard up top and wasn't quite sure if we were going to make it out the other side. I got super loose in the center, and then we're just trying to I'm trying not to get too far ahead of him to where, he can side draft, and then I'm just trying to kill his run. So it was just, it was crazy. I mean, that race from start to finish was amazing. That first stage was incredible. The second stage, at the end was fun. And then that whole last, stage with the wrecks and cautions, and then, fuel strategy and tires running long and all that was wild. So you guys got your money's worth today, and I'm just proud to be a part of the show.
Kyle, I don't know if I've seen something like that. Chris Buescher thought he won. He was out here. At what point did you hear we won?
Same thing. I didn't know if I won or not. I was pumped for the finish, and I can't remember if it was Cliff or Tyler, my spotter, said that the 17 got it, and I was like, hey, good job today, team, because that was a great race. And then I got to about turn 3, and Tyler was going crazy up on the roof. So just incredible finish there. I wish we had more mile and a halves. This, we all bitch about the package and all that, but these mile and a halves, these cars just race so amazing. So hats off to this whole 5 team, HendrickCars.com, Chevy, Junior Almond Bar, Valvoline, everybody who's a part of this. This is so cool. Month of May is going to be great for us, so hopefully this just starts some momentum.
Kyle Larson wins in Kansas.
Well, the other side of that extremely close finish, Chris Buescher, you thought that you had it. It was so incredibly close. You guys did a fantastic job all day long. What are the thoughts right now as you digest this?
I don't know what to say right now. I haven't seen a replay other than just a picture, and I sure can't see it in that picture. So that sucks to be that close. I still can't see, but yeah, I guess tear it apart. It was a great finish for us. A really strong day, a lot of speed in this Castrol Edge Ford's Mustang, and we really needed that. Needed to win more, and I thought we might have had that one. Had a lot of speed there, firing off. We were really good, and really all day, and I'm really proud of that. And had some good strategy to get us back up there, and tried to cover what I could, and gave him half a lane too much, I suppose. But good hard race right there down to the line. But that hurts.
You mentioned the speed that you guys had that you showed today. How important is that as we go forward? Some more mile and a halves coming up, and the season progresses here.
Yeah, speed's good. Wins are better, so need to be in that situation again. Need some trophies, need some check flags, and put ourselves in a much better spot.
Thanks, Chris.
Now, on that last lap, Denny Hamlin was third in the middle of the back straightaway. He had to lift for Elliott and Truex. But here's the reaction at the line for the 17 team. They've got it. They've got it. Until they didn't. When NASCAR announced over the radio, the winner is the 5.
That's what he heard.
Jamie?
How about Denny Hamlin? They told him, I think it was veggies, and you're like, veggies, and you had to come down pit road. How hard was that to go through, having to stop and then facing another restart like that?
Well, it was the right call. It certainly was the right call from Chris' standpoint. I was just worried about cars in the back staying out and us losing to no tire cars, but it didn't work out anyway. Just hindsight, certainly I would have restarted on the outside, knowing that the 5 was going to split us the first chance he got to go for the win. So once he did, it just killed all the momentum. You get drag going from both sides of the car, and I was a parachute in the way at that point. So, but had a good view of the great finish.
And the great start, great finish for Denny Hamlin brings it home, top 5, guys.
Thanks, Jamie. Larson, Buescher, Elliott, Truex side by side at the line, right alongside the two that scored the closest finish in NASCAR history.
Had the momentum getting into 3. Buescher tried to block him, moved up the racetrack. I'm talking full send out of Kyle Larson on that outside. That is a bold move, getting to the outside of that 17 for the win.
Yeah, and then you see him banging doors right here, hoping that you can slow the other guy down just enough to get the win, but it was just a couple inches, if that much, too short for Chris Buescher. But he had to guess going into turn 3. We talked about it, but before they took the white flag, the cat and mouse game, as you see how close this finish was right here. The cat and mouse game going into corner is really a guess, and that's what's so great about this racetrack is you have options.
The commitment out of that kid right there. I mean, he was a checkers record. He was going to either win that race or stick it in the fence. He was committed to doing so, and it paid off for him once again.
A 4-wide finish. The distance from first to fourth would have broken the record for the closest finish in Kansas history.
Well, I like being a part of broadcast. All these great finishes. I'm glad you guys dialed these up this year because this has been a lot of fun.
Tell me how much you love Kansas. Come on, Kevin. Say it one more time.
I can't do it. It was a great race, though.
This is a hell of a racetrack.
It is that.
3/1000ths of a second, the margin of victory at Atlanta. 1/1000th of a second here in Kansas. Coming up weeknights on FS1, NASCAR Race Hub at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you for Throwback Weekend in Darlington with race day at 1:30 on FS1 next Sunday, followed by the Goodyear 400. A long day in tonight at Kansas, and you're rewarded with a 4-wide finish, the closest ever in NASCAR history.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.